And we'll get there sooner or later. I'll figure out how to do this some year. John, hear you there. And, I kind of need to add my face to this whole thing. Otherwise, we're doing radio, which is never a good thing. Hi. John, hear you there. And I know that Jason probably takes like 2 separate snaps and does it. I've yet to figure out that order. I've only been doing the show, what, six years? We've been doing the morning show for 10. And I still haven't figured out how to do things. What else is new? Master of technology, me. John, hear you there. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday, which means anything is on the table. And we got a big show. We got a big blanking show. So big, as a matter of fact, we're going into the 11 o'clock hour because we got all this stuff. Well, let's work backward. Amy Andrews, you're going to sit there and go, that name is familiar. Yes, it is familiar. Former Tormenta striker Amy Andrews that was part of the team that brought a national championship in USLW to Statesboro. She is on this side of the Atlantic for about another week, and she is spending time in Wisconsin with family to be before she heads over for training camp for Sheffield United. We catch up with her in added time and find out how life is with her as she is now in WSL 2 and starting season 2 with Sheffield United. Double-digit goal scorer all comps last year. Ali Howorth joins us in hour number 2. We get to get the big AFCON 30,000-foot review from what we've seen so far. We caught up with Ali yesterday in Foxborough to get his view of everything that he's seen from Tunisia to Cabo Verde and all points in between. Dylan Butler kicking off hour number 2, finding out what's going on with Dylan and what is on his mind in the tournament, bringing in Major League Soccer folks, and all of what we've seen from there. Cupdates and AM news after the bottom of the hour will get you caught up. We might even talk about a witch doctor. And batting leadoff, which means it's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community. Showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And for that, we send our hootiest of who's, a hooty you, Dr. Heather Morgan. Now, with the title that I saw, is it true that you have to use both sides of the business card?
No, that is not true. And hooty hoo, good morning to you, John. Thank you for having me.
Clinical Assistant Professor, Marketing and Professional Sales. That's a
Correct.
lot. Wow.
That is a lot, yes. It's a huge department.
And when we were given the chance to catch up with you on a topic that we've seen in the World Cup in and of itself. Oh, first and foremost, how's the Yorkie? Is the Yorkie back in from the garage?
The Yorkie is inside, so Ziggy is resting comfortably right now beside me on a bar stool. I can't guarantee he won't speak because he likes to be the star of the show.
Understood. Like I said, the rowdy man is the same way, and he's right here with us. I just had to ask. That's one of the things that in the pre-flight, we caught up, and Dr. Morgan had put a Yorkie in the garage, and the Yorkie, she was concerned about noise, and so we brought the Yorkie back inside, so we're okay. One of the really cool things that kind of catches our eye in any big ticket item situation is how folks can navigate things that they're not really attached to. And what I mean by that is, in big ticket items, whether it's a Super Bowl or a Stanley Cup or a college football playoff, you have those title sponsors that are attached to things, and they get to sit there and have their branding, and their branding is a part of this item, and they get to be seen by everyone everywhere. FIFA and the World Cup are no different. Yeah, are no different. Plural noun. And what we've seen is some interesting ways to kind of get around the rules of engagement. In cities, you're not supposed to name them by their corporate name. So here in Atlanta, where we're based, it's not the German manufacturer, but we did find a way to get around that, and we'll get into that now that I'm thinking about it. It's Boston Stadium in Foxborough not having to do with shaving cream. Toronto, it's not having to do with a bank. It's Toronto Stadium. One stadium in particular in Santa Clara, which is technically San Francisco Bay Area Stadium, they found a really unique way to kind of dance around something that they're not a part of. What did you think about what Levi's did to cover their logos in Santa Clara, but cover them in a unique way to get coverage in turn?
Yeah, so I think that they really showed that they're practicing a branding masterclass, right? So they knew that they had to cover their logos because FIFA does have this very strict clean stadium policy. So what they decided to do is just sort of drape over the word mark. But as we know, that bat wing shape is so popular, it's been used for decades now. So Levi's enjoys having really strong brand equity. So even when the signage was covered up, fans still knew that it was Levi's Stadium. And in fact, the fact that it was covered up brought so much additional attention to it because everyone's kind of asking why. Why is this logo covered up? So we have really what's called the Streisand effect, which is a pretty cool thing, which means that if we decide to cover up or conceal some information, sometimes it garners additional attention. So Levi's became part of the story without paying those sponsorship dollars.
And you end up with that kind of a that extra pub. Is there any way to sit there and kind of monetize or just come up with a rounded figure of how much extra exposure you're getting by not doing something in a World Cup situation? Is there any way to monetize that or come up with a figure?
There's really no way to predict it. You can certainly, after the fact and during, measure things like, because of digital media, we can measure things like likes and shares and conversations, mentions, to sort of get some brand sentiment. Levi's, I think, really did something smart by leaning into it. And if you take a look at their socials, they've changed their profile picture to show that covered up symbol. So it really shows the power of brand equity.
Who else has taken this? And I don't want to. Is it safe to say it's a tongue-in-cheek approach, or is it thumbing your nose? How would you best describe what these brands are doing in these situations?
Brands are navigating this and trying their best, but we never really know what's going to take off. We can try our best, but we're looking for something that's organic and that feels very natural to the consumer or the fan. It needs to feel authentic for brands to get involved, and brands really want to be part of that experience. But because of all the strict regulations that FIFA has, we have to be very careful as to how we do that.
Have you come across any other instances, just casually, other big ticket item competitions or anything like that, where folks have done this kind of thing to garner more attention, or is this kind of the first time we've seen like this on a world stage? Is this the debut of this kind of marketing from the back door?
I wouldn't say it's the debut, but this is certainly the biggest stage, right? Because this is a global event and it's drawing in fans from everywhere. So brands are trying to be part of this reach that otherwise they wouldn't be able to take advantage of with traditional advertising.
And we've seen in other stadia in Foxborough, which they're calling Boston Stadium, that has to do with a lot of shaving cream and shaving materials. There's tape on
Yes.
names on seats. I've heard that they've tried to cover it in shaving cream just to kind of sit there and have marketing. I mean, I think, is it kind of where you see, well, one person's doing it and you sit there and the light comes on. It's like, oh, we should do that too. And you get this knock-on effect of one's doing it, then the other's doing it, and the others are learning from each other. It's almost like a shared experience kind of a thing.
Certainly, and you can bet that all the stadium sponsors are putting their marketing team to work to try to figure out the most clever way to get involved without violating any guidelines. FIFA is very strict with their guidelines, so we have to be very careful that we don't violate any of those.
Why, yes, they are strict in their guidelines. Dr. Heather Morgan from Kennesaw State, Clinical Assistant Professor of Marketing and Professional Sales, hanging out with us to break down what we're seeing and let us know about marketing and guerrilla. Would this in the old days be called guerrilla marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just kind of taken a new approach since everything is digital now. We know that fans are really co-creators, right? And your brand has the ability to blow up in just a matter of seconds if the right person posts about it and it gets the shares, takes off, has a viral moment. similar to what we're seeing with ranch dressing, right? I think that is a very interesting aspect of the World Cup. So, if your viewers are not familiar, ranch dressing is sort of really having a moment here in the US, that whole product category. And the reason being, we have a lot of fans visiting from everywhere. And in Europe, ranch dressing is not as widely available. It can only be purchased from American importers. So fans are trying ranch dressing for the very first time. So um, we know that ranch dressing, of course, we know it's delicious and we use it on everything. I can speak for myself. I love to dip it in everything. And so do our European counterparts, it appears. So a lot of European fans have really taken to social media to talk about ranch dressing and how, I've seen photos of them drinking ranch dressing.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's kind of taking it too far for me too. But some brands have been able to latch on to that. So brands, for instance, like Kraft and Hidden Valley, which are big in the ranch category, did not pay any FIFA sponsorship dollars. However, their brands are being highlighted right now. The TSA has put out a statement about, making sure that you pack your ranch in your bag, right? And what's ranch compliant. I think that Kraft has done a great job because they've really leaned into that moment, and they came up with some AI generated images which show TSA compliant ranch packets, but they said that those are coming soon. So that's been really interesting to me. So Kraft has really been elevated based on this viral situation with ranch dressing.
Ranch compliant and ranch compliant. If you see, now this is the dangerous part about ranch is that depending on the length of your flight, I think that if it's in your luggage in the cargo hold, I think you're okay because of the temperature difference. When you're, in the cargo hold, it's going to be freezing, so you should be okay in that regard. As long as your container or I just have this vision of folks getting into Gatwick, and then all of a sudden the agents for British Air, sit there and they're opening up things up. What is this? And you sit, and then they poke a hole in it and they completely destroy your ranch dressing packet that you have, the large plastic bag and everything. But if you do it carry on, you do have to, I would imagine, sit there with the TSA and have it just be a very small container. You've got to pack this stuff, I would think.
Right. So I think that what Kraft's doing is really genius. And Hidden Valley's right there as well. They're really shooting for the long term. They've named what they're calling ranch ambassadors, and they've sent these influencers, if you will, to Europe with their products to really try to get everyone on this ranch train that we're on here in the US. So
well, and then you mentioned the idea of fans as these co-creators where they're integrating and it's a genuine interest in the product or whatever it is they're embracing in that moment. And so you have these new fans of ranch dressing that are diving in and going, hey, look, we're enjoying ranch. It's not something that is contrived or orchestrated for the sake of putting something out there socially.
yes, exactly. And that's what makes the marketing so great because it's organic, it's authentic. It doesn't feel intrusive, right? Nobody likes to be sold to. So if we were just pushing advertisements, we know that, consumers aren't going to remember that. But what they're going to remember is the experience. So they were here, they tried ranch dressing for the first time, they remember that experience. And certainly they're highlighting it in real time, and brands are able to really lean into that and take advantage. Who would have known that the ranch dressing product category would blow up? I certainly would have predicted this. So
all that, and then you got what? You probably could go ranch adjacent with what? Wings, French fries. Where else do you put your ranch dressing?
I like it on pizza.
Okay. Yeah,
I like it on everything. I don't discriminate. I don't drink it though, but
no. Our resident ranchaholic, Dr. Heather Morgan, hanging out with us here.
I like that. Resident ranchaholic.
You're a ranchaholic. When we talk about what a World Cup can mean to a city, as an example, you're talking about economic influence. You're talking about sponsors diving in and doing spot buys and trying to get their brand slash idea exposed in these markets. It's almost like it's a trickle down effect, or it's a two tier. It's not a trickle down, but it seems to be there's a two tier effect, because you have the 16 markets that are hosting matches, and then you have all of those other towns that are adjacent that are hosting teams, like Chattanooga, Tennessee, hosting the Spanish national team, the impact that it has on Chattanooga, Tennessee, all of the high
Mhm.
schools in New York, New Jersey that are hosting clubs and things like that. So there's this economic impact that carries through on a stadium scale, and then on an offshoot scale. What's it been like to see these numbers and these kinds of influences with almost these two tiers of markets coming in?
It's great. It's definitely great for the locations. Certainly, Atlanta spent a lot of money getting ready for this and showcasing the city. Um, the real value comes not just from the month that everyone is here visiting, but sort of what happens afterwards, right? We're really trying to sell the world on this great city that we're part of. So we know that Atlanta is a very diverse city with a rich history. We have great entertainment. We have great food, lots of ranch dressing here to be found. We have, and wings, right? We know that the wings are great here. So
Yes.
we have great food, great entertainment, great sports, certainly lots of rich history here. So the goal is to get people so excited about our city that not only do they visit now, but that they come back. And perhaps they choose to do business here, because we do know that it's very easy to do business in Georgia. So the goal is to really get people to keep coming back, to bring their friends, or maybe if they weren't able to attend the World Cup and just happen to view it, that they're seeing how great our city is and how exciting it is, and really bring that tourism back.
Have you come across any numbers of initial investment by the 16 markets, whether it's Atlanta or Los Angeles or whatever? Have you come across any numbers of initial investment when it comes to infrastructure, marketing, expenditures leading into the World Cup, or is that still kind of something that folks are trying to figure out?
I think that's something that they're still trying to figure out. We certainly can anticipate that those numbers will be very large. So, and I think that the payoff will be there. So,
Well, and
you know,
then, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we can definitely see even fans that aren't able to attain a ticket to the World Cup, they're attending the fan fests and things of that nature. So we certainly see the excitement in the city. And even people who are not soccer fans are excited right now, right? Because this is such a huge event and it's bringing so much excitement to the city and really elevating us on the next level. So
How much of a soccer person are you? Are you just kind of are you soccer adjacent, or what?
I would call myself, yes, very soccer adjacent. I do not, I know some players, but I don't know a lot about soccer, but I'm still really excited. The whole vibe here is amazing, right? I know just being around the Kennesaw area and being on campus, everyone is excited. So, Kennesaw State, we're excited. The surrounding areas of Atlanta, we're really excited. So, I'm excited as well, and can certainly appreciate the game and the platform that it has. So
As consumers, what do we need to keep an eye on when it comes to marketing for, cities and tournaments and big ticket items? What else are you keeping an eye on for this tournament, and residual effects, or things that just kind of pop up? Is there any kind of breaking elements? What else are you keeping your eye on when it comes to marketing here for the tournament?
yeah, so I'm looking for those brands that are leaning into this and taking advantage of the time that they have. I think Levi's has shown us that the real lesson isn't that you have to have your name everywhere. It's that you are able to lean in and become part of the experience. So, like Kraft is doing, like Hidden Valley, who knows what the next viral thing is going to be, but I'm here for it. I'm really excited about it. I think that Atlanta is still, the city itself is still going to have several great moments to come. So I'm excited to see where that leads us and just be part of it.
who is missing out on an opportunity off the top of your head? What have been with Levi's and with Ranch? You're sitting there going, okay, I get that. Who is missing out on an opportunity? Let me have you put your marketing hat on. We're going to go into the conference room with the tall glass and the hermetically sealed room with the table that's equally glass, all the tall chairs and the monitors all over every place. The door shuts. You're there at the end of the table, and you have folks around this table. If you're at the head of the table, who is missing out on this opportunity that you're pointing your finger at in your marketing 501 class and going, jump on this now before you lose out?
Well, I'm not going to name any particular brands, but I will say this. Brands that are simply just putting advertisements out there are not going to win because brands need to become part of the experience. Look, when people leave Atlanta, they're not going to remember what advertisements they saw, right? They're going to remember how they felt in the moment and the brands that were there for them in the moment. You might think that branding isn't part of soccer and you're just there to watch the game. And I get that. And that's how you should feel as a soccer fan. But the smart brands, the good brands, are going to be the ones who are there in terms of still having a presence of some sort in the stadium. The merchandise, they're there to support you along the way. And those brands are interwoven into the fans' memories. So that while you don't necessarily see and pay close attention to the branding, but it's going to be in the back of your mind. And because it's in the back of your mind, next time you need a car, you might think about a certain brand because you know that it was part of the experience that you were with, right? And that's a brand that you will now trust. So branding is going to be very important, but I would say the ones that are not doing a good job are the ones who are just simply putting ads out there. Like I said before, people don't want to be sold to. We don't want to be spoken to. We want to not feel like you're intrusive. So the brands that are able to really interweave themselves into those memories, those are the clear winners.
Well, and to that point, the city of Atlanta got away with one, and I don't mean that in a negative kind of toss-off way. It was an inescapable thing involving Atlanta Stadium. Traditionally,
Yes.
you've got to put up all this bunting and branding and everything, but there was one part of the stadium that you couldn't fix. And if I'm in this meeting, I'm sitting there going, look, guys, you want to drop the $500 million to fix the spindle and the Venus flytrap up top, the open and close. You want to fix that? You want to drop the $500 million? You go right ahead. This is unchangeable for us. And there are just some roadblocks that FIFA or any big ticket item has to sit there and understand. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it. But that was a close call for the city, and it was apparently a very big discussion point with them.
Absolutely. Very big discussion point. But I think it came down to logistics, and maybe there were even going to be some structural issues there. So we know that Atlanta really took their time preparing the stadium and doing everything possible. But in the end, FIFA did agree that this was the only solution. So we did manage to have that one brand mark still there. But
yeah, and I'm also noticing that one brand mark, you're not seeing any kind of overhead shots of the stadium in particular. You're not seeing the beauty shots that we naturally see on television and here in Atlanta, and in the low corner, you would see the stadium and everything. You're not seeing the top of Atlanta Stadium in any kind of a beauty shot. You're seeing everything ground level here so far in the World Cup. There's none of this. That's always right here.
That's right. That's the power of FIFA, right? So they really work hard to have those exclusive partnerships and sponsorships, and they want to make sure that they stay true to their partners. And that's one way to do it, making sure that you strictly enforce those guidelines. So I think that they're doing a great job. And while we might like to see some aerial shots of our great city, we're not going to.
No, you might see aerials of the city, but you won't see Atlanta Stadium in the low corner.
Correct.
Are you on summer break right now, or are you teaching?
I'm actually teaching 4 classes online, but not in person. So.
Oh, wow. So
Yes.
do you need a note to get back into your own class from us?
No, I think I'll be okay. I don't think my students probably missed me. So
I cannot thank you enough for the
Thank
education
you.
and illuminating us on all these topics and everything that we kind of see. and we wanted to get kind of an expert opinion on all this kind of stuff. Dr. Heather Morgan, clinical assistant professor, marketing and professional sales up at Kennesaw State. Continue with the adding of the furniture there in the new casa, and obviously the guard dog Ziggy, the extraordinary Ziggy has right there. There we go.
He was almost quiet the whole time, but he heard his name from you, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Can't thank you enough for doing this, for the education, and for anyone that wants to take your classes up at Kennesaw State. I can look you up, email, LinkedIn, all those kinds of things. Thanks for dropping by this morning on the morning show.
Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
There we go, Dr. Heather Morgan, and she's going to go get breakfast and all those things. So now it was because of the Levi's incident. We were like, yeah, we need to talk about this. And so with what happened with Levi's and what is alleged at Gillette, and apparently in Gillette specifically, and David, you're right there. And you're right there with, Gillette with the name on the seats. And yes, there are pictures in USA Today, not necessarily USA Today, but there are pictures of tape that have been put in the lower bowl over the G word in Foxborough. So folks can't see it. I mean, literally in the press box, they've covered over in Boston, in Foxborough, they have covered over the logos there. I don't know why anyone would want to take a picture inside of a press box, but okay. But you see the links that tournament organizers will go to protect their branding. And when Levi's did what they did, it was brilliant. And with them adjusting their Instagram handle and avatar, once again, brilliant marketing across the board. And so when we saw that, we heard about Gillette in Foxborough. For us, it was a no-brainer to catch up with Dr. Morgan and find out, what she has seen in the landscape and what she's seen about investment in city and infrastructure and marketing and all this kind of stuff. So we wanted to catch up with her and get her perspective on where the players play. So Dr. Heather Morgan from Kennesaw State, great to catch up with her and get all the intel about what we see and why we're seeing it in a certain way. So that is Opening Kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening Kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. All right, let's get your cup dates and your news in here before Dylan Butler should be joining us top of the hour. The rest of the show after Dylan, Ali Howorth, we caught up with him in Foxborough before the England match yesterday to kind of have a discussion about AFCON and the teams coming from the African continent that a lot of folks are surprised about. But if you pay attention to football on the African continent, not so much. And Jason's one of those. He had Cabo Verde making it out of group. So we'll catch up with Ali and find out about what his thoughts are about AFCON teams in the tournament. And then in added time this morning, Amy Andrews, we catch up with her. She is resting. She is resting and rehabilitating and just kind of kicking it for a little bit. She was watching her Three Lions yesterday as well. And we catch up with her before she heads back over the Atlantic to Sheffield United's women's team's training camp. They are in WSL 2. It's her third year. It'll be starting her fourth year being in the championship in Durham and Newcastle, and now season number 2 in Sheffield at Sheffield United. So it was a chance for us to catch up with her being on this side of the Atlantic. So that's added time this morning and any other breaking news that we have come across our table. Katie, I know. Katie Weaver, she's like, this is a lot of ranch talk for 9 o'clock in the morning. You are not wrong. You are definitely not wrong in this situation. I'm ranch for me might be like blue cheese adjacent for, vegetables or carrot sticks or appetizers or wings or whatever. But no, it is not something. I'm not a ranch on a salad person. I am more like the vinaigrette kind of deal. And because that I can manage, and if you spill it, you can see it, you can treat it pretty quickly instead of like the globs of like ranch or blue cheese or whatever, or Thousand Island or French that would just kind of just sit there and go. Pfft. So no, I'm more of a vinaigrette person, but ranch seems to be Ranch is making a comeback, and and so you have Hidden Valley and Craft that are finding a new marketplace and an expanded marketplace. You have found a new market, you two. Could you imagine? What we saw with Levi's was fantastic. When you look at the other stadia that we have here in this tournament, when you look at the other stadia that are here, so if you look at the venues, what could be in these situations? I mean, BC Place is the only one that can still be identified as BC Place because it is attached to the provincial government. It is a moniker for the location. It is not attached to a sponsor. It is attached to the provisional government and the location. So BC Place is listed still as BC Place. Toronto, you'd have to do something involving a bank. Maybe turn. But there really isn't a big ATM in an end zone or anything like that. You couldn't do that in Toronto. In Guadalajara or Guadalajara, let's see, Guadalajara Stadium. Is that Estadio Akron? Guadalajara Stadium. So I think that's Estadio Akron. Yeah, it's Estadio Akron. And Estadio Akron is where it is right now. So history, Estadio Jalisco, and car lubricants firm. So 2017, it was changed from Estadio OmniLife to Estadio Akron through 2027. So Akron is like Quaker State. So maybe you'd have a big can of oil with the spike in it in an end zone, maybe. Let's see. So if that is Estadio Akron, Azteca has a bank attached to it, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see. Estadio Azteca. Let's see. So who is the corporate sponsor for the Estadio Azteca these days? And let's see. Azteca. So we're trying to Estadio Banorte. So it is a bank. So it would have to be the same thing. So Estadio Banorte, I still call it the Azteca. And then Stadium in Monterrey, if I could spell stadium with fat fingers. Let's see. What else are we staring at here? Estadio BBVA. So once again, it would be something attached to a bank. And so that would be where we are with the stadiums to our south. And where did I go? It's like it just disappeared with everything. Okay. So let's see. World Cup. No, I just because you did it with World Cup Stadia. That's why. There it is. Okay. So here, Mercedes-Benz branding's everywhere. Gillette, we know Gillette. Dallas Stadium, AT&T, Jerry World, take your pick. NRG in Houston. Jiha, Kansas City Stadium. Just leave your branding up. SoFi, folks doing your taxes maybe in the end zone. Miami Stadium, the Hard Rock could speak for itself. The Meadowlands would speak for itself. We know what happened with Levi's, Lumen, and then in Philly, it's the Link. So I mean, there are activation opportunities, but I don't think any of them could be as viral or as impactful as what we have seen in San Francisco Bay Area. So there would be opportunities. But just trying to figure out the right activation would be the way to do it. That would be something to put your thinking cap on in each of these individual markets. But so that's where that runs. Yesterday, in the tournament in and of itself, we have officially wrapped up the group stage. Well, wrapped up match day 2s. Now the chaos really begins because you have simultaneous starting this afternoon. Yesterday, it was that Cristiano Ronaldo guy. And I've been one of them. I've been like, after what happened at match day 1, Roberto Martinez, you got to make a decision. You made a decision, stuck with him, and you end up with a 5-0 win over Uzbekistan. And it was for Cristiano Ronaldo, a brace in the first 40 minutes. So he gets his first 2 on the board. Mendes scored on an absolute rocket in the 17th and an own goal in the 60th, and Rafa Leao scored in the 87th. Just for sake of numbers, courtesy of our friends at FOTMob, Cristiano Ronaldo punched a 9.1, 34 touches, 10 touches in the opposition 18, took the most shots of 7. I know that sounds very familiar. 2 goals on the board, 13 of 19 passing, 5 shots on target, had 1 blocked and had 1 off target, 5 of 6 on target. And he even had 3 defensive contributions, 34 touches, and he was called offside twice, had a tackle, a clear, which was headed, a pick, and a recovery. So ground duels, he was actually 3 of 5 yesterday. So it was a full day for Cristiano Ronaldo. And Roberto Martinez was asked after the match what he thought. Does even Cristiano Ronaldo, what does he think about himself in these situations? So here's Roberto Martinez after the match.
Have you ever seen any doubt in him? Does he ever doubt himself, do you think? Or is he just always the same Cristiano?
He's a human being. I think he's allowed to have emotions. He's allowed to have feelings. I think what is impressive with him is the answer. The answer, whatever he feels, the answer is to get back on the training ground and practice and work and demand from himself. And that professionalism is what is giving him the longevity. I think we all have our opinions and everybody can speak about the player, but I think nobody gives you a better assessment of what you do in your career than the longevity in football. And I think what he's achieving with his numbers is just somebody that I was asking him the other day. I don't know if it's genetic or his work. And I do believe that it's a combination of both. But I never work with a player that has got that capacity that whatever happens today, tomorrow is going to be the hungriest player to improve. And that's an aspect that I would love to transmit to any youngster that he wants to play football, because a real example.
Roberto Martinez after the match on Cristiano Ronaldo. I will be intrigued how he is utilized against Colombia. We'll talk about their match coming up here in just a little bit. But MatchDay 3's opponent's different than MatchDay 2's opponent, which was different than MatchDay 1's opponent for different reasons. So Portugal gets a big number. They put 5 on the board. And I will say this. When Uzbekistan scored and they were down 2-0, just the fact that you saw the reaction on the touchline from Fabio Cannavaro and his staff and the players, and the videos that are viral when Uzbekistan put the ball in the back of the net, that's the cool stuff that you like to see in a tournament as a part of the cool factor in general. Obviously, it was disappointing, but yes, it was the right call. It was a foul in the lead up to the shot that went in the net, but still, to see Uzbekistan have a moment like that and to have that kind of an experience in this environment, I thought was really cool yesterday. So 5-0 win for Portugal, and they are set up for the big matchup at the tail end of the group stage in MatchDay 3. Also on the board yesterday, it was, frankly, 3 other games that equaled Cristiano Ronaldo's output. England and Ghana. And we probably should get into the witch doctor a little bit. England and Ghana. England had possession for 79% of the match. World Cup record for a team that did not score. Outshot Ghana 19-2. And depending on which ranking system you use, up to date or no, Ghana is ranked in the mid-60s. You end up leaving Foxborough with no goals on the board, and everything had tilted England's way when it came to the numbers, except for one, the score. Ghana was going to be a pain in the you-know-what defensively, and they were. XG 1.36 to 0.17. Total shots 19-2. Shots on target 3-1. 19 shots, 3 on target. 33 touches in the opposition 18 compared to 10. 2 big chances. 2 big chances missed. Accurate passing, 93% for England, 74% on 127 passes for Ghana. 9 corners to 2, 10 shots off target, 3 on target, 6 blocks, a lot of them late. Shots inside the 18, 14-2. Shots outside the box, 5-0. Defensive numbers, 24 long balls for Ghana compared to 14 for England. 22, and these are all Ghanaian categories where they had the lead. Tackles, 22-14. Picks, 8-1. Blocks, 6-1. Clearances, 39-6, and 3 saves. How Jordan Pickford didn't get a red late, I have no idea. How there wasn't a penalty called on a hip check late that would have given Ghana the opportunity to score from the spot late, I have no idea. I don't. Duels won 61-47 England, 43 out of 82, and then they were 18 of 26 in the air. Fouls committed, 24 by Ghana, 14 for England. And Armando Villarreal was the man in the middle. All of those numbers leading in one direction, except for one, the score. And so, that's going to absolutely stick with England in this tournament. After the match, Tommy Too Cool for School. Thomas Tuchel himself was asked about it as they're now heading into match day number 3. So here's Thomas Tuchel after the match.
It is what it is. We tried to break the deep block down from Ghana. I think full respect, and they defended with a lot of determination, with a lot of discipline, and with one of the most physical performances that I saw from a team defending. I still think that we play in one of the most difficult groups in this World Cup. We had a very difficult first match, and we had a very difficult second match. Very different from the first match. So it is what it is. We will analyze it and recover now, and then prepare for the next one against Panama.
So they're going to prepare for the next one against Panama. So to those late ideas, Carlos Queiroz has been in the gig 9 weeks. 9 times 7, 63, 10. So 10 weeks, 71 days. And he knew that, if you were going to try to trade blow for blow, that it wasn't going to happen. So you're going to sit deep. You're going to defend. You're going to defend your you-know-what off. And what happens, happens. And they did a darn good job of it yesterday. Once again, the late chance, Harry Kane, 86th minute. Nico O'Reilly's header hit the crossbar. Kane had a chance to slam it home, and he airmailed it. Tuchel said afterward, Kane converts that chance 99 times out of 100. Yesterday was that one. And thank you, my dear. I love you very much. Yesterday is my birthday. VAR, obviously, with those 2 calls that we were talking about, the one on Pickford and the one on Ezri Konsa, stopping Prince Adu. No penalty, no VAR. And so Carlos Queiroz, in the presser, said that VAR, quote, must have gone for coffee, end quote. Some of the pundits at BBC even thought it was a penalty. England's atop Group L with 4 points. Ghana are second with 4 points. So that's 2 matches down. What happened in the third one? Croatia over Panama late, 1-0. Croatia ranked number 11 in the world. Panama ranked number 34, and they're out. Ante Budimir scored 10 minutes into the second half, 54th minute. So Luka Modric's 200th international appearance comes out with a win. Pierre-Ghislain Acho was the man in the middle for that one. Hector Said Martinez was the man in the middle for England and Ghana. Then the late one, Colombia on a deflection DR Congo had defended incredibly well for 74 minutes. Shot into the 18, deflected, goes past the DR Congo keeper, and you end up with a 1-0 win for Colombia. And they're in charge of Group K with that win. So going into the standings for today, here's how it is after what went down yesterday. Group K, Colombia is in charge, 2 wins and 6 points. Portugal is in second at 4. DR Congo and Uzbekistan are 3 and 4. And they play each other in Atlanta at Atlanta Stadium Saturday night. Group K has the night shift, the early night shift. The match is at 7:30. DR Congo and Uzbekistan, winner. If there is a winner, that winner probably gets into the knockouts. Uzbekistan with a little bit more work than the others. If DR Congo wins, they're at 4 points, safely into the knockouts. If Uzbekistan wins, DR Congo is out, and Uzbekistan might take DR Congo with them. So we'll see. Colombia, Portugal, and DR Congo and Uzbekistan on Saturday. The knockout match in Atlanta. Group L, England and Ghana, both with 4 points. Croatia with 3. Panama is out. So that's where we are with Group L. England, Ghana, Croatia, probably all in, meaning the third team right now, Croatia with 3 points. They're probably in, and they're now going to have a result to keep an eye on the weekend. So today, we begin our stages of the chaos that is attached. It is A, B, and C today in the schedules. And so just to let you know the schedules themselves, Group B, Canada and Switzerland, they are even Steven at 4 points apiece. Goal difference because of Canada putting up the number that they did on Qatar. They are in the lead right now, pending the head-to-head competition. Bosnia-Herzegovina and Qatar, they play. Winner in that one, if there is a winner in that one, that winner probably gets into the knockouts. If it's a draw, neither of them do, unless something happens, and there are a lot of folks at 2 points as opposed to 3. So Jesse Marsh at the MD-1s was asked about his thoughts heading into this particular match. 2 topics came to mind. The first topic is, okay, so what are you playing for? Once again, courtesy of our friends at One Soccer.
I think all of us as players and coaches have been in situations like this where a draw is enough, but I feel like the worst way to get the draw is to play for a draw. You have to go into the match and play for a win. And then in the later stages of the match, you can use your substitutes and you can use tactics to now manage what you need out of the match. We were going to start this match going into it with the mentality and the tactics to win. We're not going to be overly conservative. We're not going to be overly aggressive. We're going to be us. And I think that one of the best parts of this team is who we are is pretty well built in. You know, and even if let's say I showed up and said, okay, guys, we're going to play this kind of a different kind of match than what we normally would, they would all look at me like, Coach, what are we doing? Like, so we will have subtle adjustments that we make to, like we always do, for the match plan, for what the opponent brings, but we are going to play to who we are. We're going to play to our strengths, and we're going to try to impose ourselves on the opponent.
So Switzerland and Canada are starting the day in the 3 o'clock window in Vancouver. It's the first place decider. Another question to be decided is the availability of Alphonso Davies. When Jesse Marsh was asked about that, here's what he said. Once again, courtesy of our friends at One Soccer.
He's trained with the team all week. He will not start, but he will be available to play. I mean, I would say that we will evaluate what we need of him in the game. I would like to get him into the match for sure, and I think that he can have a big impact both on us like physically and football-wise, but also mentally and psychologically, to have him back, our captain back, our best player back in the team. Like, I think this is a big factor. It's so much more than just what he brings on the pitch. It's what he represents to us. So the good news is he's looking great. He's in training. He looks great. He looks fit. He looks ready to go. He's excited. So, yeah, let's see how things go. But, yeah, I expect him to play.
That is how it's going to look in the early window with Group B. The other half in Group B, Bosnia-Herzegovina and Qatar. That one is in Seattle at Seattle Stadium, a.k.a. Lumen. And this one must win to get into the knockouts. There are some absences. Bosnia will be without Tariq Muharemovic. Qatar is going to be missing left back Homam Ahmed and midfielder Asim Madibo, who were both red carded in the 6-0 loss to Canada. And so Qatar still searching for their first ever win in the tournament. Julian Lopetegui was asked about match day 3 at the MD-1s. Here's his answer, courtesy of our friends at FIFA.
Okay, thank you. First of all, it's true. It's true that we have one big challenge in front of us, ahead of us. We had in the last year, we were following one big dream, was to be here. After we were following one dream, that was to have the first point or to be able to have one possibility, real possibility here. And now you are right that we have the third match ahead of us. Very difficult, tough, but because we are competing in the World Cup, but in the same way, it is one real opportunity, one big challenge that we have, knowing the difficulties and trying to do our best tomorrow to be competitive against one strong team and country as is Bosnia, because I think that is one team that has a very high quality in all the different areas in football. They have a lot of solutions. So we have to be focused and ready and to do our best to be competitive tomorrow.
Julian Lopetegui, as they get ready for their match against Bosnia-Herzegovina, win and you're into the knockouts with those two. That's the early window. 6 o'clockers, Group C. It is Morocco and Haiti. That one is at Atlanta Stadium. Brazil and Scotland is not. That one is in Miami. The Tartan Army has already taken over. Just ask Billy Marlin. There were more people at a Marlins game probably that included the Tartan Army the other day than the Marlins have seen in quite some time. Tartan Army outnumbered Marlin fan. I'm not kidding. Group C, Brazil right now and Morocco, each with 4 points. Brazil ahead on goal difference. Brazil's taking on Scotland in Hard Rock. Steve Clark was asked about the matchup and how he was going to proceed inside of it. Here's his answer.
I don't know what to say because I've got the Scottish media here and they kill me for doing social services. I think we've shown in my time in charge, whether some people agree or not, that we can be very flexible with our system. We use the 5-3-2 or the 5-4-1 system to a good effect before. This time we've been concentrating mainly on the back four. But for the game tomorrow, you have to wait and see because I don't want to tell Carlo what we do. Okay, go.
So Steve Clark knows that the Scottish press would go after him if he wasn't all that active offensively. I don't think he'll be all that active offensively. They need a draw or a tight loss to probably get into the knockouts. I think that they're going to play it so close to the vest it's not even going to be funny. Scott McTominay will be completely and totally frustrated, and it might be a 1-goal loss. But I don't anticipate Scotland playing with a whole lot of verve and back and forth in this matchup against Brazil. They haven't beaten Brazil in 10 meetings, winless in 8 previous World Cup matches against South American opposition. Brazil, no Rafinha, but they could have Neymar. Do not be surprised if Neymar starts. Carlo Ancelotti confirmed he's fit. It could go the full 90 minutes. Endrick is still on the sidelines as well. And so that's what you're staring at if it's Scotland and Brazil. Morocco and Haiti. Haiti, once again, obviously, they are already eliminated. So if Morocco wins, we'll get into juice boxes in hour number 2. Morocco wins, Brazil wins. It probably is going to come down to goal difference. So Morocco is going to have to do the same thing to Haiti that others have done. So Morocco is going to be looking to put up a number. We'll see what happens in Group C. Now, 9 o'clockers, In Guadeloupe, it is South Korea and South Africa. And so you have Mexico also on the board in there. They've already qualified. So Korea, Republic, South Africa, Mexico, and Czechia. Mexico at 6 points, 2 wins. Korea, Republic, 3 points, 1 win. Czechia and South Africa need to win their matchups to get into the knockouts, and then they would be taking somebody down with them. So Czechia and South Africa, they need to win their matchups to get to 4 points. Then that might create a problem with Korea Republic if they lose their matchup at 3 points. Then you'd have Czechia and South Africa go over the top of them. So that's what is in play in Group A, Group B, and Group C. Group B, once again, your earlies, your 3 o'clockers. Your 6 o'clockers are Atlanta and Miami in Group C. Group A is your late ones, and those are in Mexico, in Monterrey, and in Guadeloupe. So that's your rundown of what the Wednesday is going to look like with all the stuff in the cup that the world is chasing after. So obviously keeping an eye on all of that as we head into the beginning of the knockouts. And if you're anticipating chaos, I would anticipate chaos with you. So I'll go ahead and do the juice boxes since we're in the World Cup section here. So let's see if the juice boxes will change from hour to hour. We'll give the layout. So Bosnia-Herzegovina, big favorite to -270 going up against Qatar, and Julian Lopetegui, who's a +700, draws a +425. Switzerland and Canada. Canada is a dog in this matchup. Switzerland a +145, draws a +210. Canada's a +229. Dylan Butler coming up here in a sec. 6 o'clockers, Scotland is a big dog to Brazil at a +900, draws a +470. Brazil is a -312. Morocco, big favorite at home in Atlanta at a -526. Haiti a +1600, your draws a +650. And then the 2 matches in Mexico tonight are your 9 o'clockers. Czech Republic is a big dog to Mexico, who's a -105. Czech Republic a +280, as is the draw. And South Africa and Korea Republic. South Africa is a +480. Hosting Korea Republic at a -161. Your draw is a +300. It's the beginning of hour number 2. So this is where we bring in Dylan Butler, our friend from MLSsoccer.com, and where we also get our hydration break. So, Dylan, we're having a hydration break. So please, if you wish, there you go. Unmute yourself, sir. There we go.
We need to unmute for a hydration break? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so we need to unmute for hydration break. Okay. So hydration breaks brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, 2 locations here in the Atlanta area, Johns Creek and Cobb Parkway. And thanks to them for being great hosts to me.
Are they interested in expanding to Long Island?
Imagine that they could if they could find a proper location.
So work on that for them.
Location, sir. And we thank them for hanging out with that, letting me hang out with them on Saturday, being great partners and friends with us here in 2026. So local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, courtesy, gives the hydration break. So welcome to match day 3, and let the chaos begin.
Yeah.
You have the 6 matchups going, 2 at 3, 2 at 6, 2 at 9. What are you up to today, as a matter of fact, sir?
Well, working wise, I'm on the Canada match. So
okay, cool. All right, so then we'll start there.
Yeah.
Jesse Marsh, I did not hear his activity in its entirety, but I do not believe that he did any ish stirring in his MD-1 toward the United States. He was he was focused on the task at hand.
Correct.
And you could see somebody for a couple of minutes. He's not going to go against type. They're going to be who they are, but they're an underdog. I didn't realize that they were an underdog going up against Switzerland at BC Place, but they're a dog heading into match day 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think Switzerland is the favorite to top that group, but you look at the task at hand for Canada, it's a point does it, right? So Jesse Marsh, though, yesterday in his presser was pretty clear. Listen, we're not going out there to play for a draw. We're not going to sit back. We're going to be who we are, which is an aggressive team. We're going to want the ball. You're going to have the home fans behind you. but it is interesting at 1 point gets you everything that you want. You're home for the next 2 rounds if you make it that far. And then if you're not, now it gets more difficult, right? So they just have to not lose this match to again continue to make Canadian history, right? Like they've done it each match that they've played so far, they've made history, right? First point in the first match, check. First win, and a decisive one in their second match, check. And now a chance to again make history, get to the knockout round, which has again never been done for these Canadians. So,
I mean, Jonathan David gets a hattie, and there were no hats thrown on the field, though. I was disappointed that.
I know, I was too. In a hockey crazed country, how do you not throw a hat on the field?
That's what I'm saying. Kyle Lair, Nathan Saliba on the score sheet. And your crew, Ramon Abati from Brazil is the man in the middle. Danilo Menas, Rafael Alves are your ARs. Your fourth is Kevin Ortega from Peru. VAR is Juan Soto from Venezuela. Your AVAR upstairs is Antonio Garcia from Uruguay. So
now what's exciting here too, John, is that it sounds like from what Jesse was alluding to is we will see for the first time in this tournament Alphonso Davies.
Yeah.
Whether it's off the bench, whether it's for 45 minutes or 60 minutes, we don't know the time, but he was pretty confident in saying that we'll get our first taste of him in this tournament. And what from a storyline perspective, how perfect is that, right? Coming back to Vancouver, homegrown kid. I know he's from Edmonton, but obviously, his soccer upbringing was through Vancouver. And now he'll get to go back to a place that he's called home and again, attempt to make history for his country.
Yeah. And so you've got that. But if he's available to you with as much on the line as there is in this match, do you start him if he can give me 45 or more? Do you bring him in off the bench and go? Do you go for the cheap pop late if you need a goal, if you're in a draw, or if you need a goal late and you don't start him? Do you bring him in with 20 to go and turn BC Place upside down and do the John Cena Royal Rumble who's number 30 moment? And then the look on Triple H's face tells the entire story where he comes in with 20 to go and you're just like, and then the whole building just collapses upon itself for that final 20.
Yeah, I kind of think I go more towards that angle. What I'm thinking is, look, the place is going to be buzzing regardless at the opening kickoff. You don't need, so that, you wouldn't be able to do that obviously with Davies being out there. So second problem with him starting is I don't know what kind of minutes limitation, if there is any right now on him, right?
Yeah.
If you start him and you don't take a lead, or if you trail, now you're trying to probably extend him a little bit, maybe more than he even wants to go. Maybe, maybe he's only going to go 60 at most. And now it's maybe the 75th and you still need a goal and he's your best player. So I think in a perfect world, bring him on at that second half hydration break. Right? Hydration break ends. Here comes Alphonso Davies. The place goes crazy.
Yes.
Or bring him on at halftime. Again, I'm not sure what kind of minute limitation he's at, but kind of bring him in as a closer is a good idea, I think.
Yeah, I like your idea of the hydration break, because everybody's booing at the hydration break. They're singing. I don't know. I don't know what they're singing in the hydration breaks north of the border. I know that John Denver has been a great unifier in the venues here in the United States. I don't know.
It feels like a lot of the music, by the way, it's and again, everything's got to be, FIFA approved, right? So you feel like you're hearing a lot of the same. You're hearing a lot of Journey, right, during the match. You're hearing some Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, right? Like
but that's it. But the thing is, it's like, why would you? And you play that tune. It's not a very optimistic tune to play, especially if you're the home team and you're either hanging on or trailing. It's like, come on, give me something different, man.
Yeah, no. I mean, thankfully, in it feels like in matches where there's Spanish speaking or South American, or like, thankfully that the music seems to change there. So
I mean,
matches in Mexico are a little bit different.
I know here in Atlanta, it has been John Denver, Country Roads, and we were there for the last match day, and you literally had the DJ or whoever's in charge of audio in the building lay out for the final verse, and you had 68,539 people finish the verse on their own, where Spain is putting up a number and the Spanish fans are going nuts and they're singing John Denver. And it was amazing to have them lay out, to have the audio guy lay out and have the crowd finish that with the Spanish and the Saudi Arabian fans. Kudos to them for finishing John Denver. It was a cool moment.
No, it certainly sounds it. And you wonder how many maybe are coming from those countries had no idea what they were in for, but they're heading home trying to figure out who this John Denver
I heard
guy
some
is.
new music the other day, and it was great. This guy named John.
I can't wait to see him in.
Yes, I can't wait to see him in concert. Canada is up against it in a bunch of different ways, but I like your idea of the hydration break, because everybody was mad. You're going to hydration break, you're getting the booze and the whistles, then you start the sing along. Everybody's kind of crushing it, the sing along at BC Place, and then you see him go over to the table. And then the fourth comes up with the board, and then you see Davies, he's sitting there and he's doing all the jump ups and everything and getting ready. And then the roof goes off the place. I mean, I think you have just built the proper substitution for this moment, sir. I think that is what we are looking for at, say, 4:30 Eastern time this afternoon. So I like your idea. I like how you've thought of this.
And then if you continue that script, right, maybe at that point you're up, let's say you're up 1-0, and then all of a sudden Davies on a quick counter bags the second goal. Canada are through with a 2-0 win over Switzerland.
Okay, that's interesting. Now we have it. We have a guest crasher, and we're always in for these. Abe Gordon is into crash, sir. What is on your mind here on Wall Pass Wednesday?
A couple things. I certainly wanted to wish the OG a happy birthday, so we'll get that out of the way, and then that was mostly it. Just wanted to pop in, happy birthday, and enjoying the show. Looking forward to the World Cup action, obviously back here in Atlanta, but we finally get to decide some of these groups. So it's a really exciting next couple of days up until the first knockout game on Sunday.
All right, so I'm not going to let you go without answering a question. We have now orchestrated the return of Alphonso Davies, Dylan Butler from MLSsoccer.com, and I. In this matchup against Switzerland, Canada is a dog. Dylan is saying you bring him in after the hydration break in the second half because of everybody's mad that they're going to hydration break. Then they sing John Denver or whatever. Then they're in a great mood. And then you blow the roof off the place with your Royal Rumble moment. And Davies comes in and checks in, say, like with 22 to go.
Yeah, just make sure you're not trailing 2-0 at that point and kind of render the roar kind of useless. Imagine you're up 1-0, you're starting to slide. Maybe the game's getting away from you. If you want to get the crowd back into it, that's a perfect opportunity to do so. So I'll look forward to that, but it's always going to be score dependent as always.
All right. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the wishes as always, and I will catch up with you soon. Great to see you.
Hey, keep enjoying the World Cup, fellas.
All right, there goes Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. So Abe bats lead off with us on Mondays, and so he felt compelled to crash today. But that's what Wall Pass Wednesdays are all about.
Yeah, and well, thankfully he did, because I wasn't aware. So
I'm 704. Thank you very much.
You don't look at a day over 300.
That's always. I'm older than our country. Now that we've pursued now we have fixed Canada and BC plays.
Yes.
Bosnia and Herzegovina in that group going up against Qatar. Basically, it's the winner of that one probably has a great shot of getting into the knockouts in that one. Don't want to necessarily, unless you want to spend a whole lot of time talking about Julian Lopetegui and Qatar and Bosnia and Herzegovina and Edin Dzeko. I hadn't planned on spending a whole lot of time on that one.
No, I do. Here's one I do, since I mean it's still, it's not even World Cup adjacent. It is very much World Cup, but I and I'm trying to get my daughter into it a little bit, where I'm like, I always love, and even if I miss it, like I'll rewind it. I want to see the
Yes.
anthems.
Yes.
Big anthem fit, because there's so many that you don't hear, right? Like on an everyday basis. And then even the ones that you want to hear, see what kind of emotion there is, what, how loud the place is. And like I don't have yet like I don't know, a top 5 or anything right now.
Flower of Scotland.
No, I'm not saying like in terms of the best. No, that's high quality, no doubt. But I've watched now a ton of matches, both Colombia matches. I don't think there is a better anthem right now in this World Cup maybe than Colombia's, just in terms of the how loud, and how, like, you could just turn the song off. You don't need the music, and the place, like last night there in Guadalajara, if you see the stadium, it is all yellow. Like, it was amazing. Obviously the host nations are great. Scotland has been great. I thought Uruguay's was really, really good. Down in Miami, that was really loud, really passionate. So those are some of the things that I like. It's what you miss from Italy, kind of being in it, right? Because you're used to seeing like the players screaming out, and Buffon especially, right? Like yelling out the anthem, like it was so cool.
Absolutely coming to tears and those kinds of things. But no, I am right there with you. The clubs and the countries that are there for the first time, the ones with the fans. I mean, Cabo Verdeans, when they were in the building, going up against Spain, they were loud, and they came from Massachusetts and they came from overseas, and they were in their 2 little pockets in the building against Spain, but they were loud. And it was fun to hear that. But yeah, when you see the Tartan Army working their way through, and Billy Marlin in a parade, and having the Tartan Army outnumber Marlin's fan at the ballpark, that's all. And they're singing the Proclaimers, and I'm sure everybody in South Florida is going, "What are they doing?" All you gotta do is look at social media. They did it in Boston. They did the same thing there in Boston. And if you're in Boston, how can you not, and this is, I guess, where we get into Scotland and Brazil.
Were you gonna say, how do you run out of beer?
How do you in Boston?
And there's 2 fantastic breweries, right? Harpoon is one that I've been to. You've got Sam Adams, right? Like, you literally make the beer there.
And you run out of beer.
Yes.
And apparently some of the pubs basically have kicked out English fans and shut down because they like the Scottish fans more. There were some pubs that had posted signs on their front doors. It's like, we're not open today because our staff needs some time off. It's like, England's in town? No, we're closed. Scotland's in town? Yeah, we'll bring them in and we're out of beer. So you know where the thoughts lie in the Commonwealth of the great state of Massachusetts. The middle game, speaking of Scotland and Brazil, Scotland.
Oh, wasn't it? Sorry, wasn't it? I saw it on X, but I think it was. I've been watching, as I've said last week, probably 7 or 8% of this tournament in Spanish. But wasn't it Rob Stone who had that great phrase about, like, the English don't have a great record of winning in Massachusetts?
That sounds like a very Rob Stonian thing to say.
Well done.
Yes. Look, I remember Rob when he was doing sports at the Fox affiliate in Albany, Georgia. And you knew that there was something there. And don't ever dare him to eat a nuclear jalapeno pepper in the state of New Mexico. and just make sure that he's got plenty of milk and water to hang out with him at that particular moment in time. But no, that sounded like a very Rob Stonian thing to say. Scotland, they're going up against Brazil. They're a big dog. And Steve Clark, the more that I think about it, Steve Clark at the MD-1s yesterday was sounding like Jim Valvano in the matchup against Houston, where Valvano says one thing at the pregame or the MD-1, and then to his team he does something entirely different. Where he says we're going to hold the ball and we're not going to give Houston the chance to go out on offense. And then in the locker room he gives a speech. It's like, screw that. We're going right at him. Steve Clark at the MD-1 yesterday said, I think that the press in Scotland will be mad at me if we didn't do anything offensively. I'm paraphrasing. Why am I thinking in my head that he is going to do nothing offensively, and it is going to be up to Brazil to try and break down a wall of something akin to Hadrian size to try to get something done offensively in this matchup against Brazil?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult, like, on one hand, you want the goal of the game is to win, right? To get the points, and how by any means necessary. So on that side, you're like, what is our best chance to win against Brazil? Well, let's make sure they don't have the ball, I guess, or play against the ball, or make it difficult, or put our numbers back. But at the same time, it's almost like like William Wallace, you're like, listen, we're going to attack. Like, this is us. This is who we are. Like, this is what our fans want. It's funny. Again, I make a comparison to Colombia because they're one of my teams that I kind of support in these games. Watching them last night against Congo, like they've got a 1-0 lead. They probably should have a 4 or 5-0 lead.
Yep.
They didn't. And even late, like, they're just taking chance. Like, they just like the not giving an ish level is super high. Like, they're out to attack. They want goals. Like, they're like, listen, even if we give up one here in the 88th, we're still going to get one in the 93rd. So, I don't know if that's necessarily a recipe to go far in a World Cup, but they will certainly entertain.
Colombia 20-7 in shots, 64-36 in possession, 9-1 on target, 24-10 touches in the opposing 18, 2 big chances, 20 total shots, 5 off target to 4 on target, 9-1.
I think they had 2 goals called back.
Yeah, there's 2 goals called back.
Yeah.
6 blocks, 6 block shots, 2 for DR Congo, 11 shots inside the 18, 9 outside the 18. Congo, by the way, because of those numbers, 15-10 in tackles, 6-2 in blocks, 19-18 in clearances, and 8 saves on the day for the Congolese keeper in that one. So, look, Congo ain't anybody to mess with, and
how cool too does this set up for? I mean, you're in Miami, Colombia, CR7, and Portugal. For the top of the group. That is awesome.
You got that rundown there. I just think Scotland's just going to park my bus, your bus, and everybody's buses in that one to try to get into the stage. And then Morocco needs a number. That one's here in Atlanta. Morocco needs a number on Haiti. Haiti's already been eliminated. It's their first tournament in half a century. I think that Haiti is going to account for themselves well. I just think that Morocco's got too much firepower, and it's going to come down to goal difference, I think, in match day, and to figure out what it's going to be for your 1 and your 2 if you end up with Morocco winning and Colombia winning. That's my gut.
Yeah.
That's my gut in that one. Then the late ones. Then you end up with the late matchups, sir. And it is Czechia, Mexico in Mexico City, South Africa, Korea Republic in Monterrey. Mexico is through. We know this one. Through in the sense of they have completed task number 1, not that they're done and out the door. But Mexico's won their first 2. They're at 6 points. They've won the group. Then it's going to be Korea Republic. They need basically a draw to get to 4 points, and then they're through. But if somebody comes up and bites you, if Czechia does the unthinkable or South Africa gets a win, then Korea Republic's got to rethink everything in this. So, I mean, you've got a lot to look at in Group A. Obviously, Mexico's going to be staring at folks. I wonder how much rotation you're going to see from Mexico in this matchup. I'm intrigued at Group A, but because of what's happening at the bottom for what has to happen toward the top.
The squad rotation is something too that I'm interested in with the U.S. Alejandro Bedoya, who has picked up some column writing during the World Cup for MLSsoccer.com. I honestly, like, my first thought immediately was anybody who's got a yellow isn't playing. But then he makes a good point of, especially with a guy like Balogun, you want to kind of keep his flow going. Like, you don't want to. No, I actually didn't even mean to do that, but I'll still take credit for it, I guess. You want to keep his rhythm going, right? So, do you risk him for a little bit? Maybe play him for 45 minutes. So I'll be intrigued with kind of what that will look like. Does Tyler Adams just sit out the full match? Does everybody with a yellow sit out? I'm not sure. I originally believed yes, but maybe you want to kind of keep that continuity going a little bit, right? Keep that momentum train going with this group. I don't think we'll see Pulisic again. No, there's no need, right? Give him another week to heal up. But to the same point, we'll see what happens with Mexico. Their fans are not as forgiving maybe as U.S. fans. We saw that at halftime of their last match when they were booed off the pitch, right? So,
how are you about witch doctors?
I mean, maybe they work. I just asked Harry Kane, I guess.
Ben Rumsby at the Telegraph. A witch doctor from Ghana who, quote, cursed, end quote, Harry Kane, claims to have released England's captain from the hex following the draw. Nana Kwaku Bonsam, who previously boasted of being behind Cristiano Ronaldo's knee injury in 2014, posted a video to Facebook after Kane wasted an easy chance to win Tuesday night in Boston. Quote, I am the most powerful spiritualist in the whole world. Now I'm going to release Harry Kane so that his next match he can score, Bonsam said while performing what appeared to be, according to Rumsby, some kind of ritual involving obscure objects, whatever that means. In the days leading up to the game, Bonsam told the Daily Star, another reputable journalistic source, quote, I'm working on Harry Kane. I have shown what I'm capable of before, so I know what work I must do to stop him. I am very famous for my predictions. I'm not wishing him serious injury. It will be just enough to stop him against my country. I will do my work so it can help Ghana, end quote. The threat prompted a response by Yuri Geller, the illusionist who famously claimed to have moved the ball when Gary McAllister missed a PK in England's 96 Euro Championship win against Scotland. Vowing to cancel any curse, Geller said, before the match, I will send vibrations. I will activate all my power, all my energy, all my know-how to stop his negative vibrations from hitting Harry Kane. Yuri, it didn't work.
That almost sounded like an old 90s like wrestling.
It absolutely was.
I do wish, though, that I had this information before the match started. True. Because I had family members, a couple of cousins who did a 3-player parlay, which included Harry Kane scoring 2 goals. It started out well with Ronaldo scoring 2 goals. Then it was Kane, and then it was Luis Diaz. He did cash in the day before, though, with Messi. Was it Messi, Mbappe, and Haaland?
Yeah, that's an easy one. By the way, between Bonsam and Danhausen, this is some dangerous stuff that we're traversing here in the Northeast.
No doubt. Yeah.
I mean Bonsam, cursed everybody so the Knicks would win. And so Danhausen curses everybody so the Knicks win. And now you have Bonsam cursing Harry Kane, just cursing him. Not anything big, no injury or anything, but cursing him. Yuri Geller's counter curse apparently didn't work. It's the whole pushing of the energies. You see the two superheroes, and you see the push of the blue ice and the red flame.
So maybe his work to a point, because the ball landed at his foot like that, but then the actual curse lifted the ball away from the net.
Bonsam, whose name translates literally as Devil of Wednesday.
Well, that's a good day. Today's a good day for him to be part of the show.
Claimed in 2014 to have tried to make Ronaldo miss that year's World Cup, at which Portugal were in the same group as Ghana. Ronaldo was injured before the tournament, but still played, scored the winning goal in the game, though both countries were eliminated in the group stage. So Nana Kwaku Bonsam apparently is an individual not to be trifled with, sir. So I'm not going to trifle with him. I'm not going to trifle with Danhausen. So whatever they do, whomever they curse, I'm not going to sit here and say that didn't happen, because the last thing I need is for a Danhausen curse on me, of all things. So you, sir, you are on.
Not today.
No. You are on the desk tonight for Canada.
I am. Yeah.
What else is going on?
I was on last night as well for Croatia.
Yes, Luka Modric, number 200 for him, and getting the Duke. So, yeah, nothing like the other goals. So Cristiano Ronaldo gets 2, and the other 3 matches get 2. So that was how yesterday was. So,
how about the Pasalic back heel,
dude? Oh,
perfect.
Boy, that is stuff where you need shampoo and conditioner after the fact. As always, it's great to see you. So you are doing, are you soccering, or are you drifting into high schools and all-star games, or are you just right now, are you?
Yeah, no, we have for Varsity Media, we've got, I'm actually literally right here looking at one of my rosters here. Just came fresh off the printer.
Is that card stock that you were handling, sir?
No, this is just off the printer. This is I've got to then take those and put them into charts and find that information. And those games are tomorrow, so that's super fun.
Because like I said, I'm a fan of card stock just because of conditions that I'm in traditionally. Sometimes as a field anchor, where I need the thicker paper as opposed to the thinner paper, and dealing with plastic bags. So I always go with card.
Yeah, no, these will just go. I'll get my gaff tape, put it up on the window there over at Hofstra, and I'll consult my chart, and then if I don't see somebody there, I'll look over at the roster.
Dude. I wish you nothing but making sure everything gets into slot, and that all the commercials run, and that there are no technical issues when it comes to your time at Varsity Media on the YouTubes, because I'm that guy that kind of hovers and watches in the background, and I might occasionally make a comment in the comment section and sit there, and you'll look at it and you go, wait a second, is that a burner of his? Is that him? Yes, it is, in fact, me making comments about lacrosse in the Northeast.
Well,
be safe, my friend. Have great calls and great watches, and we'll obviously continue to update the tournament as things go. And we are getting closer and closer and closer to the knockouts, and then that means we're getting closer and closer and closer to this thing called the second half of the Major League Soccer season. So the year is not stopping, sir, and it's always fun. It's always great to see you in the midweek, and you are in fact the man. I will catch up with you soon.
Yeah,
thank you, sir. And there goes Dylan Butler. He is in fact blessed. I believe that's the mug that he was using this morning. So that's Dylan. And now let's get into the rest of the stuff that we have on our plate. Coming up, we got Ali Howorth talking about AFCON and discussing what we're missing by not having all of those matches in our normal purview. But you can with our friends at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. And in the what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it category, you can add Fanati's to the mix, and you can get all the be-ins, and I mean all the be-ins, which means Middle East, North Africa, and you get their European activity, you get Libertadores, you get Sudamericana, you get in season, you get the Turkish League, the French League, and the Polish League, which was crazy this past year. Then you can get ties to Tigo Sports and to CATV. You can get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You can get TVV out of Venezuela, but as I always say, if you have a particular cable system here in the Southeast and you have the Spanish-speaking package, then you can get that one. You might not have to pay extra for Fanatis to get TVV. You get CDO2 out of Chile. You get TIC out of Argentina. For their coverage of the World Cup alone, it has been amazing. And all of that is in one place at fanatisfntz.co/soccer down here. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We go to our friends at Soccer America, another subscription that I personally have that gets me through my days. Big FOX has the first 3 matches: Portugal, Uzbekistan, England, Ghana, Panama, Croatia. And then it is FS1 with Colombia and DR Congo. So you have those matches that are today, and that is the rundown of those matches. But we need to add a couple more and let you know where things stand. So 3 o'clockers, maybe if I'd looked at the right day, I could probably give you the better answer. So where if I actually just focused on Wednesday instead of telling you Tuesday's games all over again. Look at the date, Nelson. Deuce has USL Championship, 8 o'clock, Colorado Springs and San Antonio. That one it's Switchbacks and San Antonio FC. That's at 8 o'clock. So Big FOX has Switzerland, Canada, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Qatar is on FS1. Scotland and Brazil is on Big FOX. Morocco and Haiti is on FS1. Czechia, Mexico is on Big FOX. South Africa, Korea Republic is on FS1. Telemundo has Switzerland, Canada, Scotland, Brazil, Czechia, Mexico. Universo has Bosnia-Herzegovina, Qatar, Morocco, Haiti, and South Africa and Korea Republic. The Plus, 2 matches in USL Championship, Charleston, Battery, Loudoun United, and the Miami FC, the home of Eloy Room, and Orange County at 7 o'clock. League One, Portland, Richmond at 7, Corpus Christi and AV Alta at 8:30, Spokane and Westchester is at 9. Fox O&E has all 6 of your matchups, and they are 2 at 3, 2 at 6, and 2 at 9. So that's your rundown today. Now that I thankfully read the proper day of the week, Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. So let's get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Like I said, we got Ali Howorth coming up around the corner to discuss AFCON and the African participants in this here World Cup tournament. So getting into all of the gossip, rumor, and the innuendo. Atlanta United, by the way, at practice this morning, and it was announced yesterday that both Matias Galarza and Juan Baracol were returning to their clubs at the end of the month after their loan issues, their loan issuances come to a close. So they're heading back to their parent clubs. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo in this one. It is, let's see if we've posted the daily run. Looking at today, looking at the high hopes for a bunch of different countries. So here's your gossip, rumor, and your innuendo. 4-letter paper, Manchester United and Arsenal, both interested in Alex Scott. Reported that United looking to reinforce their midfield amid plans to offload Manuel Ugarte, but any deal for Scott is expected to require an offer worth about £60 million. Bournemouth keen to secure him on a new contract. City looking at Chelsea's right back Malo Gusto. Nicolas Shearer says that City have shown interest in the 23-year-old who could reunite with Enzo Maresca as he gets closer to being confirmed as Pep Guardiola's successor. Gusto arrived at Stamford Bridge for £30 million in January 23, seen as a long-term replacement for Kyle Walker. Liverpool and Newcastle interested in Lille forward Matias Fernandez Pardo, according to the 4-letter paper. Reported the Reds have identified him, who had 13 goal contributions in 29 Ligue 1 matches last year, as a potential alternative to Leipzig's Jan Diomande, who's rated at €120 million. They could challenge the Magpies for another signing after they landed Victor Munoz from Osasuna for €40 million. Newcastle reported to be tracking Brighton and Brentford-linked Cologne winger Said El-Mallah as they look for a replacement for Anthony Gordon following his €70 million switch to Barca. Villa keen on Jared Bowen, according to Ornstein and everybody at The Athletic. Villa have expressed their interest in him, who is admired by Unai Emery. Hammers would prefer to hold him as they want to get back to the Premier League. Could discuss proposals worth £50 million. Sky says Villa have informed Arsenal, United, Chelsea, and PSG that they don't want to offload Morgan Rogers this summer. Real Madrid turned their attention to Enzo Fernandez after deciding there's little chance they're able to secure Bayern Munich winger Michael Olise. Fernandez, keen to move on from the club, expressed a desire to live in Madrid, but a fee of over 130 million euro will be needed. From ESPN, Chelsea looking on a deal worth 55 million euro for Atalanta. It says Atlanta, but it's Atalanta fullback Marco Palestra. Final fee yet to be agreed, progressing well, agreement expected soon. Inter Milan has been in negotiations to sign him after he was named Serie A's Defender of the Year from a season-long loan from Cagliari, where he made 37 appearances. Julian Alvarez told the four-letter he wants to leave this summer. Previously reported that Barca, PSG, and Arsenal are interested. Real Madrid also said their 150 million euro bid was rejected last month. Sweden forward Felicia Schroeder has signed with Real Madrid after a transfer from BK Häcken. Häcken and Schroeder's agent, Linus Gunnarsson, said the deal is the biggest transfer, in quotation marks, in women's history, declined to disclose the fee that Real Madrid paid. Unclear whether the transfer fee is going to set a new record. Valerian Balogun expected to leave the Ligue 1 club at Monaco this summer. Interest from clubs in the Premier League. That's from David Ornstein et al. At The Athletic. Football Insider, Liverpool's only going to consider offloading winger Cody Gakpo if they receive significant offers, recently linked to Spurs. Corriere dello Sport, Roma want to sign Paulo Dybala to a new contract extension as soon as possible. Mundo Deportivo, Real Madrid remain interested in Borussia Dortmund defender Nico Schlotterbeck, despite the ankle injury that's expected to keep him out for upwards of 8 weeks. Il Chiringuito, I'm just going to leave that there. Barcelona preparing a new 150 million euro bid to sign Julian Alvarez. Arsenal begun talks to sign Jeremy Monga, the 16-year-old winger from Leicester City. That's also from The Athletic. Team talk, Spurs watching the situation of Como attacking midfielder Nico Paz, linked with a 9 million euro return to Real Madrid. Juve in talks with PSG regarding a deal for Randall Colomawani. That's from Gazzetta. Atalanta looking at Bayer Leverkusen's Karim Alibegovic, who was on loan at Salzburg last year. That's from Gianluca Di Marzio. Fabrizio Romano, Roma have dismissed interest in Wesley Franca from Chelsea. TalkSport, Aston Villa in talks with Flamengo regarding a deal for right back Emerson Royal. Now, also checking in with our friends Ben Jacobs and Tommy Scoops, looking at things internationally. So let's see what, if anything, has shifted in the landscape since we last caught up with these guys. Let's see. Feature story. We mentioned David Ornstein and Valerian Balogun, and we mentioned Pauk with Leah Labata. Okay, so nothing there that we haven't talked about. So keep an eye on Pauk, Charlotte FC, and Leah Labata. So we'll keep an eye there. And so with Ben Jacobs, who's been very, very busy here on his trip to the United States. Bruno Fernandes set to stay at Manchester United despite fresh Saudi interest. Martin Dubravka has joined Spurs. He's holding up the keeper's jersey just to prove it. He is not smiling and having a pen hovering over a contract that he is allegedly either signed or going to sign. He's holding up the keeper jersey instead. Also, 37-year-old leaving Burnley at the end of the month. Al Ettifaq have agreed on a deal with Arthur Papas to take over as their new head coach. Joining from J1 League club Cerezo Osaka. It's a 1+1 already finalized. And Brentford showing interest in Burnley attacker Zian Fleming. Leeds reached an agreement to sign Harry Wilson as a free agent as of 2 hours ago. Jacobs yesterday was discussing Marco Palestra as well, supposed to be finalized in the next 24 hours. And mentioned Malo Gusto, mentioned all the other activities. So we're fairly caught up in that regard when it comes to all of your transfers and such. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in the news vein that we might have missed this morning before we get into our conversation with Ali Howorth and getting into AFCON. I think we're good when it comes to player news. If anything, I'm going to dive into my books. We'll see if we're missing anything and let you know what's happening there. All right. So yesterday we caught up with Ali Howorth and subscribe to his Substack. We'll give you the address at the tail end of this. Caught up with him when he landed at Foxborough. I think what he ended up doing was transportating from New York to Boston, then took the shuttle to from Boston into Foxborough. So we caught up with him in the press center in Foxborough to talk about AFCON, and find out what's on his mind and what we're missing out on when it comes to covering the sport. So here's our conversation with AFCON and European writer Ali Howorth about AFCON and their presence here in the World Cup here in 2026. So amongst the air conditioning and the and Mother Nature and everyone at Foxborough, it's the Boston Stadium, but those of us that are there know it as Foxborough because it's halfway between Providence and Boston. Ali, how you holding up?
Yeah, good. I'm very cold. You know, they've pumped the aircon right up, so I'm very chilly. But I'm happy to be at the stadium, even if it felt like half a day to get here.
What matches have you covered so far for those that haven't been following you on your Substack? And folks need to do that, by the way.
That's a good question. Who have I covered? They all blend together. So I've done Brazil, Morocco. I've done Senegal, France, Cote d'Ivoire, Ecuador, Scotland, Morocco, and then last night I was at the Norway-Senegal game, and today I will be at the Ghana-England game, which is why I'm out here in Foxborough.
So are you getting miles and points out of this, or are you just not getting any sleep?
Very much the latter. I'm hoping to rack up some Greyhound points. I don't know if Greyhound do points, but I got the 1 a.m. bus last night from New York into Boston, so it's we're running on coffee at this point.
We can definitely relate, and we definitely empathize. From the matches that you've seen so far, what are some of your highlights?
I mean, highlights have been seeing some of the players, the individuals. I mean, I think that's one thing I really enjoy about international football. The individuals really shine. So I cover African football, so I was watching last night very much with the Senegalese lens on, but watching Erling Haaland was just special. You know, watching a player who is so good at his craft, and the same with Kylian Mbappe. You know, I think for me that is a joy. I think as well as seeing like footballing cultures I'm not as familiar with. Like, loved being in a stadium that was like 95% full of Ecuadorians. You know, that's something I've not experienced before. So yes, I would have loved there to have been more Ivorians, but I've been in stadiums that are 100% full of Ivorians. So I think I've really enjoyed seeing it, kind of different footballing nations kind of showing their stuff.
What are we missing out on by not following CAF any closer than the rest of the normal folks on the planet?
Ooh, that is a good question. Look, African football is a joy. It is a genuine joy. And that is because the African continent provides more challenges and hurdles and diversity than any other continent in football. You know, both the sheer size, the variation of countries, the scale of it, as well as some of the challenges. And so when you watch African football, you realize that there's so much more to it than football, the fan culture that play into it. And it's because football cannot exist in this kind of pristine, kind of sterilized environment, which so much of European football is, so much, you know, the Premier League, Champions League, it's all trying to be as standardized as possible. Watching African football, if you're watching a home leg in Pretoria when Mamelodi Sundowns are playing, and the away leg is in a cauldron-like atmosphere in Algiers, in North Africa, in Algeria, you cannot sterilize that environment. You cannot kind of keep it the same. And it's the same with the Africa Cup of Nations. I regularly say this. The Africa Cup of Nations for me is the greatest tournament in football because it provides the most amount of hurdles. It provides a lot of challenges. It provides a lot of unique kind of scenarios. And that's why I always say, you know, at the Euros, at the World Cup, often it's the best team that wins it. At the AFCON, it's oftentimes the team that can kind of adjust for these variables that wins it. And I think that gives us so many more storylines. It gives us so much more character. It gives us so much more entertainment and enjoyment than I think a lot of these other footballing worlds do.
And you mentioned the word hurdles, and all I can think of is what happened in the last tournament. It's safe to say that is a definite hurdle. If you want to use that word, man, that was a heck of a hurdle that folks had to put up.
Absolutely, and you know, you football in, say, you know, I can't speak for South America, I can't speak for North America, but football in Europe, no country in Europe does football matter as much as it does to Senegal and to Morocco. You know, these are two countries that have brilliant diplomatic ties. They are very, very close nations. Lots of Senegalese travel to Morocco on free visas to get university education for free. There's a huge Senegalese kind of diaspora living in Morocco. You know, the Senegalese nation at one point was under the wider Moroccan kind of empire. I don't think you'd necessarily call it an empire, but hundreds of years ago, very close ties. That was almost shattered in one night of football. You know, that is unfathomable in any other continent. You know, when the Senegalese president put up a new picture of himself, his profile picture on Twitter with an AFCON trophy behind him. You know, you don't see that in other tournaments, and for me, that's what makes it so incredibly enjoyable. There's so much to just get your teeth into.
All right, so the CAF folks that are in this tournament, I want to see if I can pin them down into one sentence. Tell me if I'm like, you know, if we're doing like something akin to word association. South Africa, blessed by being consistently inconsistent. Morocco, on the rise, only if you haven't seen them, because I think that they're already there. That was my parenthetical expression there. You look at Turkey and you have questions, more than one perhaps. Then you keep working your way down. Cote d'Ivoire, you wonder, I mentioned being consistently inconsistent, and you wonder when they're going to turn that page. And Tunisia could be its own interview with you when it comes to everything that is going on there. All I have to say, really, if I'm going to put that in the word association, is Hervé Renard. And then you end up with Egypt, and I wonder about the next generation. And then Cabo Verde, and we've been blessed to see them as a part of this tournament so far. And all we can do is stand and applaud about life beginning at 40. And then you have Algeria. It's been really cool to see this expanded field present all of these different ideas about how to play football and really be confounding for folks that we're not necessarily expecting these folks to be in a normal tournament setting.
Yeah, 100%. And look, for many of us, there's been a huge injustice in terms of the amount of African nations that have been able to qualify for World Cups in the past. Look, 1966 is known for England winning the World Cup. It's also known for the entire continent of Africa boycotting it because we weren't given a whole slot for that tournament. And that's kind of been the story. And the African qualifiers have been the most difficult qualifiers in the world, you know, up until this tournament, because even if you won your group, even if you won every single match, you had to do a playoff against another team that won their every single game. And, you know, to give you an example, Egypt, aside from the 2006 to 2010, they won 3 African Cup of Nations in a row. They're arguably the greatest ever African side to play. They didn't qualify for a World Cup because in a 2-legged playoff, they couldn't get the job done, you know, and so I think for me, it's a real joy to see all of these countries qualifying. Look, it's, you know, some of them have not performed. Tunisia, I think the word association I would use is awful, dreadful maybe. But I think it's wonderful to see, and I think it's, yeah, I think for me, honestly, my reflection is about time. I think there's been a lot of conversations about, like, you know, African football has developed a lot, it's improved a lot, and in some countries it has, absolutely. You know, Morocco, it's been transformational what they've gone through in the last 10 years. But, you know, Ghana, I would say this Ghanaian team is a shadow of the team, you know, 20, 16 years ago. But they're still at the World Cup, you know. They're still able to be here. And so for me, it's more of just the joy of, you know, the world being exposed to these countries. You know, a country like Cabo Verde, you know, I was lucky enough to watch their last game in Boston, which obviously is where, you know, the biggest diaspora of Cabo Verdeans outside the islands live, in kind of Boston, Brockton, Providence, you know, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts, and this whole New England area. And it was a joy because you're speaking to Cabo Verdeans. They're saying, look, this is the first time in our lives we don't have to tell people where we're from. We don't have to bring a map with us everywhere we go to say, this is where I'm from. This is, when I tell people I'm Cabo Verdean, they say, what? Who? And they say, this is what the World Cup means to them. And to see them succeed, to see them do really well. Look, for those of us who followed them, it's not a surprise. Maybe the results are, but certainly not the performances and not the kind of storylines of these guys.
All right, so when you look at the Cabo Verdean roster, and yeah, we did have folks come down for the Spain match from Massachusetts, and some even, you know, across the ocean to get here. We've followed Pico ever since we knew about him, and we commandeered him at the Irish Football Awards. He ducked into a conference room the night of the draw, and he was at the Irish Awards that night, and he kind of was there for 5 minutes for us. Is there one story of that roster that stands out more than the others about assembly and integration and how it all comes together?
Oh, that is a really good question. Look, all of them have incredible stories. Every single one, whether it's Vazinha, who, like you said, is now 14, 15 million Instagram followers strong. For him, he didn't turn professional until he was 25, I think. He had to move to Angola to do that, to play for a club called Progresso. And then he moved to Europe. Stopira, their center back, who is one of those players who's been brought along for the ride, but it hasn't been brought to play any football. He's there very much as a vibesman. He was a player who joined the team in 2008 when he was still a semi-professional. He had to kind of work the hard way to get into football. He spent a decade in Hungary as Hungarian citizenship. Because of that, he's a naturalized Hungarian. He then came back, scored the goal. He actually retired from international football, and they convinced him to come out just for the World Cup qualifiers. And he scored a goal in the final game when they qualified for the World Cup. Magical. In terms of the infrastructure, I think the player that stands out actually is the guy who scored the goal, the first goal against Uruguay, the first goal Cape Verde have ever had at the World Cup, Kevin Pina. He's a really interesting guy. He was born and raised in Praia, in Santiago, the capital city on the main island of Cabo Verde. And when he was in his early teens, I think 14, 15, he actually moved to Brockton, Massachusetts. His family moved there. He emigrated with his parents, and essentially that was his career over. He was a very promising player, but there were no pathways for him when he moved to the US. There was no way for him to become a professional, and so he kind of had given up on this dream. And he was actually just playing in a local game, like a local Cabo Verdean game that they kind of just organized in Brockton, when a guy called Carlos Moraes, who is one of the kind of the greatest players of Cabo Verdean history. He's one of their all-time top goal scorers. He scored their first ever goal in a World Cup qualifier back in 2003. He just happened to go to this game, and he saw this kid, and he's like, this kid is special. Like, I need to get him into professional football. So he spoke to his parents. He convinced them to move Kevin back to Cabo Verde, where he then spent a couple of years playing there. And then he moved to Portugal, and now he plays in Russia and has had a really good career there, and now has scored at the World Cup finals. And I think what that shows is, the kind of challenges that Cabo Verdeans have to undergo to become professional, but also how good a country it is in terms of football development. Like, I think we have to sit and reflect on the fact that for a player who wants to become a professional footballer, he is better off being in Cape Verde, in Praia, than he is in being in the US if he wants to turn professional. And I think that says so much, because Cabo Verde, with, not even a fraction of the resources that are in the US in terms of sports facilities, football development, et cetera, they have such a strong culture of elite football players, developing elite football players, and giving them pathways to Portugal, giving them access to becoming professional football players, that for him, he actually had to move back to Cape Verde to try and become a professional football player. And so I think for me, Kevin Pina's story is the one that kind of actually shows that Cape Verde is it's not a flash in the pan. It's not a surprise. It is a fairy tale story, but it's not one that is kind of against all the odds. This is a very well-run federation. This is a very well-run team. This is a country that is getting is reaping what they have sowed over the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, and another part of our network, Jason Longshore, he said going into the tournament, because he knows Cabo Verde's history, he thought they were going to get out of group. He was that locked into the history of Cabo Verde, and he's like, yeah, no, they're getting out of group because of what the group stacks up to be.
100%. Look, they have now played 14 games in international major tournaments, so the AFCON and the World Cup. 14 group games. They played some knockouts in the AFCON. So 14 group games, they've lost once to Burkina Faso in 2022. They made their debut at the AFCON in 2013. They got out of a group with Morocco and host South Africa, and I think it was Angola. The next year in 2015, they got out. They didn't get out of the group, but they didn't lose. They drew all 3 games. That time with DRC, Zambia, I think Tunisia. And then 2021, again, drew with host Cameroon, got out of the group, only lost to Senegal, who went on to win that tournament. And in 2023 at the AFCON, that's when they kind of really showed the world what they were at. They completely outplayed Ghana and beat them. They smashed Mozambique 3-0. They drew with Egypt and got to the quarterfinals, where they only lost South Africa on penalties. Cape Verde is a nation that have shown that if you build the right culture, it doesn't matter how small you are, you can make that step up every single time, and it doesn't faze these guys.
Can we get into Tunisia real quick?
I mean, I prefer not to, but absolutely. No, Tunisia has been a massive mess of footballing nation for quite a long time. Look, this is a country that has traditionally massively kind of punched above its own weight. Really, really small population. You know, I think it's about 12 million people in Tunisia, and they've consistently been amongst the best African nations. They've qualified, I think, for 17 African Cup of Nations in a row since 1994. No other African nation has done that. And they've qualified for more World Cups in the 21st century than any other African nation. And I think that's a huge testament to what they've done. Now, a lot of that was built off the back of a very, very good domestic league, particularly in the 2000s when they won the African Cup of Nations in 2004, I think it was, when they hosted it. They had a very, very strong league. They had, their clubs doing very well in African, Champions League, Confederation Cup, which is the African Europa League. Clubs like Espérance, Club Africain, Stade Tunisien, Sfaxien, a few others doing really, really well. And since then, things have kind of collapsed. Tunisia, as a wider country, is undergoing a huge financial crisis. So football has kind of suffered because of that. And then issues around kind of corruption in the federation, interference by, people outside of football have really impacted the national team, and they've really stagnated over the last few years. And it's a bit of a shame because prior to this World Cup, they were looking to have a bit of a reset. There was a new federation, although some of the same figures. And they actually said, we want to get rid of some of these old guys. We want to move on. We want to start a new generation. And they did. If you look at the players they called up, some really exciting young players. Khalil Ayari is at PSG. Ryan Alumi was kind of at Vancouver Whitecaps. Was called up by Canada, actually, but he chose to play for Tunisia. They have a lot of young players. And essentially, they told their coach, Sabri Lamouchi, this World Cup's a write-off. We know we're not going to do well. We know we're in a really tough group. We're building towards the next African Cup of Nations. We're building towards the next generation. The only remit you have is don't get humiliated. What was the one thing they did? They got humiliated in that first game. And then they've done it again. And it is an absolute mess. And it's kind of reset the clock in terms of where they're at. All of that kind of building they've done over the last 6 months is completely gone. And it's really sad to see, to be honest, because this is a footballing nation that is so much history and is so successful, and is kind of collapsing in front of our eyes in real time.
If you would, please, after Foxborough, where are you going to be next?
So my plan actually is to go to Atlanta tomorrow. So I'll be there.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure, and things might change, but I'm hoping to. I've got a flight booked for tomorrow, so I'm hoping to be at the Morocco game tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I'll hang around Atlanta again until DRC play their final group game against Uzbekistan. And then I will probably fly home back to the UK. If my plans change, they're very flexible. As a freelance journalist, anything can happen. But at the moment, those are my plans.
Well, if you do make your way down this way, you know that you've got a home. You know that where the key is under the mat. You know where the garage door opener is. You know that we're going to be probably knocking on your door anyway to talk about those two.
Please do.
One way or the other. If you would please cut the promo for everybody, and let everybody know how they can follow your African football Substackian scribblings, as we were.
Yeah, so I write for a lot of places. If you want to learn more about Cape Verde, I wrote The Guardian as a preview and a preview on every single player. But where I do most of my work is my own Substack, Ali's African Football. I recently, ahead of this World Cup, started my own YouTube channel as well of the same name. So trying to grow that, and I'm on all social media, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. Try to get better at social media. It's not something that comes naturally to me. But yeah, any following, any support as a freelance journalist is always appreciated.
And as always, my friend, it's great to see you. Glad you made it to Foxborough as we are talking right now. And if you make your way down, let us know. We're going to be banging on your door to get reviews and previews. Just keep us posted on your plans. Be safe, and may you make every deadline that you set for yourself. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks so much.
Ali Howorth, and there is the address for his Substack, his Substackian Adventures, right there. So it's Ali's African Football, and recommended viewing, and hop on his YouTube channel and subscribe to all that stuff there. So alistairhoworth.substack.com, Ali's African Football. So you can hang out there and learn about things on the African continent. So that is another go round of catching up with Ali and finding out about teams that we didn't know a whole lot about coming into this tournament. Since we have cleared, in 25 seconds, we're going to clear hour number 2. I'm going to call for another hydration break. So here we go. Once again, brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores. Two locations, Johns Creek and on Cobb Parkway. And once again, properly hydrate as we are into the 11 o'clock hour. I still feel like I need hold music or something. We tried to take care of the bots as best we could. And David, it's good to see you again this morning. And let's see who else is in here. And thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes. Morning, Katie Weaver, and morning to the boss, who was watching from Washington, D.C. So that's where she was tuning in from this morning as she was sending her notes as we go. Trying to check and see if there are any headlines that we might have missed. We do have one more interview to hop into this morning, and for it, we will go to Wisconsin and catch up with Amy Andrews before she heads to training camp for Sheffield United coming up in about a week. But let me say my headlines here real quick. I had a couple of headlines. Iran has been cleared to enter the United States 2 days before their deciding group match against Egypt. Michelle Kang has agreed to a 101 million euro deal to take over ownership of Olympique Lyon, designed to rescue the club. And finally, sever ties with John Textor. And I can't wait to look on social media to see what he thinks about that. And also on the board, there's an agreement for Malaysian TV rights to AFC competitions. IMG is going to help the Polish league, which you can find on Fanatis through BN. They're going to help them with their new cycle of broadcast sales. Then it is pretty much all laid out from that this morning. So one more interview that we're going to get into here. And it's kind of like a where are they now? And for those that might remember a couple of years ago when Tormenta did the double, and it was one of those rare things in USL where they won League One over Chattanooga Red Wolves, and the women's team in USLW went up to Minnesota and knocked off the Aurora to win the USLW title. They were led by striker Amy Andrews. And Amy, after her time at Tormenta was done, has spent the last 3 seasons now heading into her 4th in the WSL2, the championship for the Women's Super League. In England, she went to Durham. She went to Newcastle. Last season at Sheffield United, she was 9 goals in competition and 10 goals in the overall. So 10 goals all comps last year at Sheffield United on the women's side. And she is getting ready for training camp in about a week. And so it was an opportunity for us to catch up with her and find out, hey, where you at? And what are you up to these days? And we're going to, and I'm going to live process this interview and bring it in here, but what Amy's up to and what she has learned about her time overseas. And so here we go. We're going to add the interview. We're going to do it since we're north of 2 hours. I'm going to add the interview and we're going to go ahead and play it. Amy Andrews getting ready for her 2nd season at Sheffield United in Wisconsin. We caught up with her yesterday before the England match. So I don't want to know what it was like in Wisconsin as she was watching the England match yesterday. So we're gonna add the Amy Andrews interview, and it was fun to catch up with her and do it during the lunch hour and find out what she's been up to this last little bit and what she's learned about herself as a footballer and how she is still trying to improve her game. And she mentioned future aspirations, and those future aspirations circle back to a time a couple of years ago when her time at Tormenta was done. Because remember how prolific she was at Western Illinois when she started the process of turning into a pro. And so it was interesting to hear her honesty about her growth and what she's learned and her time in Statesboro and how that has helped her as an athlete to work forward to find out about herself. And she has soon to be family here in the United States. She has her family back home, And so she's having to navigate that aspect of being a professional athlete as well. So it was a really cool conversation that we got to have with Amy about anything and everything that's going on in her life right now. And there's a lot going on because, like I said, she's finally getting the opportunity to spend some time with her, just not having to do anything having to do with soccer, really. So just kind of getting to chill for a sec and to try and find out, what's going on in the life of Amy Andrews. By the way, we mentioned what's going on with Julian Alvarez. Atleti CEO Miguel Angel Gilmarin is upset with that. So you're taking it easy in Wisconsin, huh?
Oh, yeah. Enjoy my last week.
Before you head back to training camp and everything, when you look back at last season, double digits, all comps, 10 goals scored, 9 in the championship, and 1 in cup competition. What are some of your takeaways about last year with you and with Sheffield United on the women's side?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was tough as a team near the end. We started quite well, actually. We got some good results, and we didn't know how it was going to go because they struggled the year before I joined. So it was kind of a rebuilding phase. So it was a bit of a risk to go there since they technically did get relegated last season, but they got saved because, Blackburn couldn't, stay in the league. It was quite a shame they had to fold, but luckily, they stayed in the league, so I thought I'd give it a go and I'd try and help them. So it was a tough season, but individually, I enjoyed it because I was playing a lot, and the coach really believed in me, and the girls believed in me, and they just always looked to play me to my strengths, and yeah, I was able to have a really good season, and I enjoyed it, and I kind of liked the idea of wanting to help Sheffield as much as I could, and I felt like I did that. So for me, it was a successful season because the goal was just rebuilding and staying in the league.
What's it like I guess I could phrase it this way, what's it like being a builder for something that is there where they have this trust in you? Hey, we're trying to do this to get back to where we were, and to have that kind of trust from your teammates and from the coach and from the administration. What's it like to have that kind of trust?
It feels good. It feels like, it makes your confidence go up because you feel like they believe in you and they feel like you're the one that can come and help and get the goals. And luckily I was able to do that. But no, it is a great compliment to be on a team that's rebuilding and they reach out to you to help them with that. I think the club and I'm definitely ready to be on an adventure where it's more than that. It's not just building, So no, it was definitely it was a huge compliment, honestly.
So for those that might have lost track, after your time at Tormenta, it was Durham, Newcastle, and now Sheffield, yes?
Yes, correct.
What have you learned about yourself as you've left Tormenta and gone to each of these stops to get to where you are right now as a pro?
Oh, I've learned so much. I've learned so much. I'd say I've just had to adapt a lot. I mean, I went to Durham. That was a team that they're hard to beat, very hard to beat, and a lot of respect to them. They weren't going for promotion. They weren't going for anything like that. They just wanted to maintain their status in the league. And also for me, it was to go there and get my first professional season under my belt, and get some minutes. And luckily, I was able to do that. I think I've learned a lot about different types of management at the professional level because all 3 of my coaches that I've had are completely different and had different game plans. And it really is about what coach you get, I think, because you'll have a coach that wants to play a different way, and I might not suit that way. But then another coach will come in and hang on, I like your speed, I like the way you play, I need you. So I learned a lot about that, and also just mentality. Like you can have some times where it's not going in the net and the results aren't going your way. It's how you bounce back. Like you just have to stay resilient and just really believe in yourself all the time. It is difficult and it's a long season, but yeah, I've learned a lot, I'd say.
Well, and also having support system on both sides of the Atlantic. What's it like to have to navigate that to where not everybody that you want to reach out to first is going to be on that side of the Atlantic? You're going to have to use, I guess, WhatsApp and Zoom and all these kinds of things. What's it like having to do what you want to do, but at the same time not get that immediate feedback like right there in front of your face? You've got to do it digitally at times.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is tough with that, but I think if everything you do is it's lonely either way, you are by yourself, like no matter what. And it's about how you navigate that. Like football, it's a team sport, but it's lonely because every individual on that team has to perform, and no one knows what you're thinking or anything like that. So yeah, I think you just learn to adapt, honestly. It's just about adapting. So I'd say that's probably the main thing I've learned, adapting.
Well, and when you were there to help Tormenta get a national
Yeah.
championship, and obviously you have the team that was there, and then you've all gone your separate ways. It's been Brooklyn, it's been you in England, it's all been all these different places. What did your time at Tormenta teach you in that first step of being a professional?
Gosh, I miss Torment. I absolutely loved it. I'd say it just nobody thought Tormentor would win that. Honestly, I don't know if I can't remember if I've mentioned this in my interviews before, but I booked my flight after the championship, even though I would have had to probably change it if we didn't get there. But I just, for some reason, out of all the teams, I just believed we would do it. And I don't know why, because that was at the very beginning, before I even met anyone or knew their capabilities. Um, but no, I'd say it's definitely a big transition because you're there full time. The standards are different because obviously the WSL2, the championship is a high level. It's the second highest in England, and it's getting tougher. You've got like the likes of Demi Stokes in our league and Jordan Nobbs and like big names. So no, it's definitely getting tougher, and it was a big jump. But I think over the years, going for teams like Durham, Newcastle, Sheffield, I've picked up different things and learned along the way. But you could tell in my first year at Durham, like the style of play from Tormenta to British football is so different. So I've had to try and learn that again. So there's a lot of different things I've had to adapt to, but I'd say I've done it quite quickly, considering it's my third year and I had a good season.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and you kind of went into it a little bit because of how different things are. You're coming from a championship where a trophy is being walked through Savannah Airport, and then you get to go back to Statesboro and kind of celebrate a little bit. But then it's like, I've got to hop up, and then I've got to go and start my career over in England. For those that don't get to see WSL2 on a regular basis, for those of us that don't get iPlayer and don't have the chance to hop in, how would you describe, if compare it however you wish to what you got to experience over here in the States? How would you compare it, and how would you kind of sit there and give folks reference points as to what the competition is like there in WSL2?
I say it's more like tactical. Like I feel like you Americans just make it easier. Like, look, give her the ball, play her to her strength, and let her go score a goal. Like simple. But we kind of go into details of everything. Like we work on every detail of every part of the game, like building up to the game. It's, obviously formation's important, but like we go through every single movement the other team does. Like it's just all detailed. And yeah, I've learned a lot about that, I'd say. I feel like in America we didn't really go over like the proper details of a upcoming football match. It was like their strengths, their weaknesses, what we're going to do, things like that. But the meetings we have, analysis, it's in detail, and we've got an analyst team that does all that for us and then presents it. And then there's even times we're sent off to watch the clips, and then we have to come back to a meeting and say what we see as a group, as the attackers, and then the defenders will have to do the same. So it's just a lot more preparation, I'd say, a lot more detail, very intense. Like I feel like when you lose the game, it is bad. Like everyone's in a foul mood, which I've always been that way anyway. I can never like lose a game and be laughing on the bus about it. I'm in a foul mood anyway, but everyone around you feels that way because the 3 points are so important, and this league is so intense because you can't predict who's going to win it because anything can happen on any day. So yeah, I'd say the difference is probably that, the details, I'd say.
Well, and you mentioned the league in and of itself, and there's the whole promotion, relegation / survival aspect for it, because you had
Exactly.
Birmingham, Crystal Palace, and Charlton. They were all separated by 2 points when it came to heading up. Then it's another gaggle where it's Bristol City, Southampton, Newcastle. They're separated by 4. Then Forest was there in 7th at 30, and then it's Sunderland, Ipswich, Durham, you guys, and Portsmouth. It's like there are groups, and it's trying to figure out, okay, how do we claw over those folks in our group to get to the next group? So it's uber competitive on one front, but then there's the promotion relegation aspect and the pressure that's attached that you don't necessarily understand unless you're in it here in the States or you're a fan of it. What's it like to be in a pro rel battle?
It's tough. I mean, I went from Durham where I joined a team that was kind of fighting that battle, like the relegation, and then I went to Newcastle that was fighting a promotional battle. And then I went to Sheffield, who were then fighting a relegation battle. So I'd really like to just relax at some point. I want to go for a promotion battle, if I'm being honest. I want to win a trophy. But no, it's definitely intense because it's people's jobs on the line. Like it's the women's like game isn't as supported as the men's. If you go down to tier 3 in the men's, you're still on a lot of money and you're absolutely fine. You're still full time. But a lot of the clubs in that league aren't full time. I'd say there's like 2 or 3 of them. So people will lose their job. It is stressful. But it does make you come together as a team, and every game is like a war. It's a battle because you're fighting for your job. So it does make it more intense, and I'd say that's probably what America is missing. I think that would make the women's game grow a lot more if they kind of had that aspect of it in there. Because then you're fighting for something. I know, like obviously you're fighting for a trophy when you're at the top, but the teams at the bottom, it'll get to the point where they're like, what we fighting for here? Because if we finish bottom, we're fine. Whereas in England, if you finish bottom, you go down a level, you go to a different division. So I kind of like it. I think it makes it interesting and it makes people fight even harder and more entertaining. Makes it more entertaining.
What parts of your game do you think you still need to work on as a professional?
Oh, there's loads. Like I've literally come back from a session today. I'd say my heading. Like I've scored headers, but I want to score more headers, and I want to be the most complete striker where there's nothing like you just can't defend me at all. Like I want my left foot to be as good as my right. I want to get stronger. There's so many things that I want to improve, and I'm 26, and I'm telling you, I've got a lot more years left in me. So I'll get there. But yeah, I feel like no football player should ever say they have nothing to improve on. I feel like every player has something to improve on all the time.
I'm thinking what about another 15 years? Because I mean, Messi's going to be 39, so I figure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I really take care of myself, so I'm hoping to go for a long time. But yeah, I would like to go NWSL at some point.
I was going to
I'd
ask.
like,
I mean,
yeah.
because you have franchises that are coming online, you have players that like a Marta who has been attached to the league, and she continues to be a productive player at her age and her level of experience. I mean, I kind of know why there might be one reason that you might want to come to NWSL someday, and it's the reason that you're in Wisconsin, kind of somewhat adjacent. But I mean, when it comes to the NWSL, what have you seen? I mean, obviously, you get to kind of watch matches occasionally. I would think. What have you thought about the NWSL on the whole when it comes to them as a league?
What I like is the hype around it all. Like it is a good level. You've got an unreal group of girls there. I mean, look at your national team. They're all badass. They're all amazing. And I think you guys could do with more Europeans and more British people and bringing that different types of quality into the league to help the league grow a bit more. I don't know. I've always been interested in the NWSL. I mean, I even applied for the draft when
Yeah.
I wasn't even at a big college at all. Like nobody really knew what college I was at. But I just thought I'd go for it, and I did want to get drafted. I did want to join the NWSL, but it's tough. But I do believe one day I'll get there. I do think it's a good league, and I think more Europeans could make it even better.
Is there one thing that folks may not quite understand when it comes to life as a professional footballer in WSL2 or in the women's game in England, however you want to phrase it, that we need to understand when it comes to the struggles and the ups and downs and stuff that we may not necessarily realize? Are there any misconceptions or things that you kind of need to kind of put to bed if I'm asking you about it?
Honestly, I think it's very tough for a player. The fans are very involved, as they should be. You know, they pay to come watch games, and they're very supportive. So their opinion is so valid and it matters. But I think when things go badly, they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And as players, we can't say that to the media. Like, I think fans need to understand if things happen, there's probably a reason for it. Like, you know, when there's been certain players leave a club or whatever it is, or like players fighting to get out of a club, and just anything that could happen, or players not on form. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, we're just humans, and we're just trying to do our job. And we want to score, and we want to play well, and we want to win games. Like, that's why we're professional footballers. We're not just doing it to do it. It's our passion. And I think sometimes people just share their opinions online and just see it at face value. But there's just so much more. Like, there's so much I know, and there's so many players know that they can't ever share because it's unprofessional. So I think they just need to cut players a bit of slack, especially the men as well. Like, genuinely, people do not know how toxic the environments can be in some clubs. So yeah, I think just players like do struggle a lot, to be fair. It is tough.
There's a tournament going on right now on the men's side, and I know that you're somewhat vested in the activities of Tommy Too Cool for School, Thomas Tuchel, and what's going on. Where do you have a Three Lions jersey with you to wear for these matches when you watch them?
What kind of question is that? Come on. Of course, of course. No, I'm so invested, and I was so happy with their last performance because I've watched some of their friendlies and I thought, what are you doing? Like, come on. I feel like wingers don't go 1v1 down the line anymore. They just go backwards. Like, we want to see more exciting football, and I think last game they really did that, especially second half. They showed up a bit and they looked dangerous when they put Rashford on and Rodgers was on and Saka. Like, we want to see more exciting football like the US. I never thought I'd say this, but the US men are doing it and they look really good. So I was impressed with the second half, but yeah, obviously we're playing today, big game, and I can't wait to watch it, to be honest.
Have you ever been kicked in the calf before?
Yeah.
And the reason I ask is because Christian Pulisic is coming back from that, from one of the earlier matches. And how difficult is it for someone who is active offensively when they get kicked in the calf, and it might be a little deeper, but that's what they're saying. How difficult is it to try to navigate that kind of an injury to get back to where you were as a striker or a winger?
It is difficult. I think it's like mostly mental because you don't feel 100%. Like, you feel a bit of a niggle, you don't feel fresh, you don't feel healthy, you don't feel 100%. So it's quite hard mentally to feel prepared and ready for the game. Like, I feel like you always go into games feeling good when you're feeling healthy and you've got no injury. And then when you've got a little bit of a niggle, that can be on your mind in the game and you lose focus. So it is quite difficult. But I saw he was on the bench, weren't he, last game? So hopefully, I actually just got one of those McDonald's cups of him on it because I couldn't believe that you guys are doing that. That's so vintage. I was like, I need to get one. But yeah, no, it is difficult mentally to come back from stuff like that, but I think he'll be fine.
Did you get the Grimace one yet?
No, I got Thierry Henry and I got his cup, Pulisic.
Okay.
Because I thought one day this is going to be worth something. People are going to want to buy these cups, so I wanted to get one.
Hey, I mean, look, that and the Panini. The Paninis have taken over the show and the network, by the way. The Panini stickers.
Oh, yeah.
We're in serious trouble because a lot of us are into that, and Madison Cruz has definitely got the inside track on all the stars. Literally, the first pack she opened, she got a Messi.
Wow.
And
That is impressive.
We're like, what drugstore did you go to? We have to go to the she has completely and totally done it. All right, so you're juggling time away because you got another week before training camp. When does training camp kick in?
1st of July.
Okay. And how long is training camp before the first match of the year?
We haven't been given our schedule yet, so I'm unsure. But that should be coming out soon because we need to know.
Yeah, you kind of need to know, where you're going. It's like, for the matchup against Durham, you got to know where you're going to go and what it's going to be like. And so when the other reason that you're in Wisconsin, you're kind of hanging out with the other half. Is there a date yet? Do we know? Is there a date for the?
There is a date. We're getting married next year, June 25th.
Okay.
Here in Wisconsin, and I'm here this week because we've got our bachelorette. So yeah, I've got to try not to drink too much because we've got preseason next week.
Yeah, because the everything's going to go just and help try and defy gravity when it comes to that kind of stuff in recovery time.
Exactly.
It is great to see you. Great to catch up. This now once again gives us a reason to continue to follow along and see what's going on with Sheffield United in the WSL2. And everybody in Statesboro and everybody attached to Tormenta, I know that they're going to want to see this and see what you're up to these days. Amy, I can't thank you enough for doing it. I know that you have some game prep to get into to make sure that everything is around the sofa or in the viewing area the way it has to be, that the
Exactly.
drinks and the treats and everything are right next to you and everything. Just have fun and enjoy the matches as you watch them here, as you recover it, and then we'll keep an eye on you overseas. I'll be knocking on your door soon. Don't be a stranger, especially as England continues to advance in the tournament. I know that you're going to want to give your feedback on that too.
Oh, yeah.
You know where we are. Don't be a stranger. It's good to see you, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Amy Andrews. We now know what's up with Amy Andrews. She is getting ready for Sheffield United on the women's side. And that was fun. I've been trying to catch up with Amy and try to figure out where she is and what she's been up to for quite some time. And we now finally have our answer. She's in Wisconsin getting ready for training camp, a week away from Sheffield United getting ready for WSL2. The story I was going to get into before the interview loaded, Sam Marsden and Moises Lorenz. Atletico Madrid CEO Miguel Angel Gil-Marin upset with Julian Alvarez's revelation. He wants to leave, but insists they have no desire to transfer him to Barcelona or any other club this summer. Gil-Marin is furious with Barca, who Atleti believe are behind Alvarez's comments, saying the club will report them to FIFA for their pursuit. Alvarez told the four-letter Monday after the win over Austria, spoken with Atleti hierarchy to inform them of his desire to move on. Gil-Marin told EFE on Tuesday it wasn't the right day to make such statements. It was a day for Messi and the Argentine national team, not Julian. Julian has a dream, but we Atletico fans have dreams too. It is true he has spoken to us, but it is also true he's fully aware of our position because we've been very clear. Atleti do not want to transfer him. He is a great player, and we are very proud that he plays for us, end quote. So that is the piece of news attached to Julian Alvarez. So time to say something, time not to say something. And apparently tonight there is a common swell of energy that El Tri, the players, were in full support of having Memo Ochoa start against Czechia in the World Cup group stage finale tonight. Named to his sixth World Cup, joining Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. He has yet to play in the tournament. He's been the backup to Tala Rangel. Ochoa made history this summer after being included in the roster for a sixth time. Were he to play against Czechia, it's the fourth time he would have earned minutes in a major tournament. Rangel was the starter for South Korea and Africa. And so they went to the MD-1. They went to training camp. They're asking players. All the players are like, yeah, we want to win it. Keep an eye on what Javier Aguirre has in mind for the matchup tonight. So here's your rundown of who needs to do what. A, B, and C today. Mexico beat South Korea, the Korea Republic, for the top spot in a game against the third-place team out of Group C, E, F, H, or I. South Korea still favorites to finish second. Draw will work even if Czechia beat Mexico because of head-to-head. But if they lose to South Korea, Czechia defeat Mexico, they finish fourth, and they would be out. South Africa and Czechia played out a 1-1 draw, staving off elimination for today. Each would have to win their final group stage game to have any chance of advancing. A round of 32, runner-up plays the runner-up of Group B, Canada, Switzerland, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Qatar. So because of Group B, Canada, Switzerland level on points. Canada leads superior goal difference because they put 6 on Qatar. Keep an eye on that. Switzerland have to win if they want to top the group. Canada gets there with a win or a draw. Bosnia-Herzegovina, winner has a great chance of making the knockouts, not guaranteed, depending on if they're one of the top 8. Draw would likely send both teams home, mathematically possible for Bosnia-Herzegovina or Qatar to even finish second if they win, but it would require the winner to overturn a significant goal difference against the loser of Canada, Switzerland, if that match does not end in a draw. Bosnia-Herzegovina need Canada to lose. Qatar would need Switzerland to lose. Round of 32, Group B gets a third-place team out of 1 of 5, E, F, G, I, or J. Runner-up plays the runner-up of Group A. So Group C, Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, Scotland. Haiti out. Brazil on top, leading Morocco on goal difference. So Brazil have to equal or better Morocco's result in the final round of the group stage games today and keep the goal difference to win the group. Morocco qualifies in the top 2 with a win or a draw against Haiti. Win could see them take the group if Brazil drop points or if they overturn the goal difference, which is right now at 2. Brazil and Morocco, a loss would still see them in second if Brazil beats Scotland. Brazil and Morocco end up tied on points and goal difference. Total goals scored would be the next tiebreaker. Scotland need to win, really, to get an automatic spot. Points tally would likely see them qualify as one of the best thirds. If they beat Brazil and Morocco drop points, they could even win the group. Round of 32, Group C, winner gets the runner-up of Group F. Netherlands, Japan, Sweden. Runner-up of Group C gets the winner of Group F. Tonight, once again, 6 o'clock, Morocco and Haiti. In Atlanta and in Miami, it is Scotland and Brazil. So that is the rundown of what to prepare for today. Obviously, we'll be down there early to lay everything out for you, and keep an eye out on Madison Cruz's social media, SDH's social media. Jason and I and Maddie and Sophia will all be down there for match day 3 for this group, Group C. It's going to be a fun one. Morocco and Haiti, keeping an eye on Scotland and Brazil in the 6 o'clock hour. 6 o'clock kick both games, so everybody starts simultaneously. You've got them at 3, you've got them at 6, you've got them at 9, and you've got all of the coverage here on the SDH Network. Tomorrow it's the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. We'll break down everything there. We'll go through what happened on the first day of chaos when it comes to match day 3s. We'll preview the second match day 3, and we'll get you ready for everything on a Thursday here on SDH AM. So that is another round of the show. Thanks for everybody for hanging out with us. Been a very, very busy day. I want to thank our guests, Amy Andrews, Sheffield United's women's team striker, Ali Howorth on his expertise on African football, Dylan Butler going over the tournament, and then we started the day with the doc. Dr. Heather Morgan from Kennesaw State University, clinical assistant professor, marketing and professional sales, talking about all of the marketing that we've seen and how some folks have gotten around the FIFA limitations to do well in their marketing. See Levi's and the Batwing, ranch dressing, all those kinds of things. It was great to catch up with Dr. Morgan and kind of pick her brain about what we're seeing around us here when it comes to the World Cup. So that is another go-round of SDH AM. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. Back at it again, 9:05 in the morning. And we'll break it all down for you in match day 15 as we go through match day 14 here at SDH. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do one thing. Back at it again in about 21 and a half hours. We'll see you in a bit.